What did you guys think about Venture not being allowed to be played in OWCS?
Can I ask as well, then while we're on the topic, what's the deal with Ghost? Because I think a lot of people expected Ghost to return to the roster maybe after stage 1.
Oh, it's us out for blood. We hate each other so much. Like,
There's like, no, I'm serious.
if we see them on
bit,
street,
no?
it's a brawl. It's a brawl. Like on the World Cup, they had security like pull us apart because we were like on each other's throats. You know, you guys remember that, right?
One of the unexpected beefs, maybe I didn't expect Capitology to maybe beef with Aid. That was a little bit of that was a rare one. But maybe the beef that nobody had on the cards was Spilo versus the family members of Uncoachable.
That's why actually I got more respect for Big Cap, because he literally, it couldn't have gone worse for him, you know? Like, we criticize him for standing on point. He talks like these like small talks that gets like 5 likes. We amplify it. The next week his team goes into game, loses to Unter, and then Aid, my man Aid, does a tweet about how they're all just standing on cart. Like, it actually felt like timeless, and Cap, it couldn't have gone worse this last week, but he still keeps going. So I actually have respect for that.
The new dev philosophy for heroes is give everyone an invisible circle that affects your allies, you know? Like Junker Queen has an invisible circle in the form of a shout. Now Wrecking Ball has an invisible circle in the form of, you know, his slam. Lucio is perma-broken because he has an invisible circle. Baptiste has a visible circle that's broken and an invisible circle that's broken.
Hello everyone, welcome to episode 20 of Uncoachable. I was walking around an old folks home recently where I bumped into a familiar face. Hobbling along on his Zimmer frame, still wearing an ENCE jersey, rambling about that time he beat Korea. I saw Masaa, so I rushed over to the nurses to see if I could get him out for the day. And as long as we get him his meds and we get him back in time, the nurses said it was okay. So we're joined by Masaa today. And I think the first question Masaa has to be, are you sick and tired of people making old man jokes?
No, I legitimately think it's funny. I have at least an excuse if I throw or Ajax. They're like, oh, he's just a demented old man. Like, you know, it gives me like some immunity to play bad. Every time, like, coach, we have a review after like we get shit on scrims. It's like, oh, we're just old. We lose because of that. Like, if you were like 5 years younger, you would have hit that shot. Or not Ajax at speed. So I'm like, I'm chilling.
I wanted to ask as well about, we've talked a lot maybe in the last couple of episodes about like shit talk and confrontation between different teams and how these rivalries make it better. You're someone who had this experience a little bit in Overwatch League, especially with London. What was your experience of like being in the middle of shit talking another team and sort of creating one of these rivalries? Did it add a lot of pressure to the game for you or make your life harder?
It doesn't make my life harder. I think it's just funny, especially if you're like just bantering. Like, I don't think it rarely like crosses the border with players because like we know each other. We're gonna play at LAN. Nobody's gonna like actually start throwing hands. So I think it's just fun. But then it's like, oh my god, it hurts so bad when you're like shit talking a team for like a year straight, and then they end up like shitting on you, and it's like soul crushing. It's actually soul crushing. So there's like it adds a little bit of more like weight to the games, even though let's say they're like groups or like something that doesn't matter as much yet.
Yeah, I think that's been like the general community sentiment seems to be trending in favor of it all as well. I think two of our hosts have been at the forefront of it. Chris and Unter both taking their respective shots at Ex-Oblivion and Capitology.
It just this week was just like, if there was ever a sign from God, I'm not a religious person, but if there was a sign from the big man upstairs that Uncoachable is like, this is the way forward. It's the fact that I got to play against EXO and we just fucking destroyed them, and Max got to play against Capitology and destroyed them. And that's just, if there was ever a sign that, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, that was it. You know, I'm now convinced that I am some form of messiah for Overwatch, given this latest revelation. And I will almost certainly be continuing to shit talk everybody, regardless of who they are.
No, but you're like such a professional EXO hater for some reason. Like, what is up with you guys? Why do you hate it so much?
Every single day. Like.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, God just offers me another opportunity. When Mag posted LFT yesterday, I couldn't resist. Like, I actually have nothing against, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, I've said what I've said about EXO. I don't like hate them. I like the players, like most of them, like most of the staff. But when, you know, when it serves up, I just saw it. I was like, I just have to tag them in this, you know, like that's just got to be the way that it goes. And yeah, I think that's, I mean, you're right. If I'd lost that game in group stage to EXO after all I've been talking, yeah. That's why actually I got more respect for Big Cap, because he literally, it couldn't have gone worse for him, you know? Like, we criticize him for standing on point. He talks like these like small shit talks that gets like 5 likes. We amplify it. The next week his team goes into game, loses to Unter, and then Aid, my man Aid, does a tweet about how they're all just standing on cart. Like, it actually felt like timeless and Cap. It couldn't have gone worse this last week, but he still keeps going. So I actually have respect for that.
Yeah, no, you have to pay the fact that, you know, even through all of this abject failure, he does continue to stand on business, you know, like over and over again, he will keep fighting back on Twitter, even if it's, you know, they're kind of like limping, like he's on the ground, kind of punching upwards on the ground as we wail on him. It doesn't matter, you know, because like he still has a bit of fighting spirit in him. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can keep hitting. And Capitology, you know, for all of his abject failures, he still has the ability to keep swinging even from the floor. I feel like that Aid VOD review really was just like the nail in the coffin, you know? It's like I hadn't watched back the match, and I'm just sitting there, and it's like it's just the middle of the night, and I see Aid streaming on Twitch to 3 people, you know, like there's just nobody there, and he's doing like some multi-platform stream, just running through different games, get him to pull up our game, and like immediately you get a classic timeless scene, like a real pure classic timeless banger of 5 dudes just full AFK.
There's no way Aid watches Uncoachable, understands the inside joke. It's just like it's so incidental. The day after they lose, it's actually so fucking perfect. So shout out Aid for that one.
Especially because all their original jokes were like, and these guys don't even really watch or pay attention to the games. If they watched and paid attention to the games, so we outsource for watching and pay attention to the games to Aid, and he comes to the same conclusion, unfortunately.
Yeah. Turns out that podcast with all those coaches of the year and stuff, they actually, you know, they pick up.
There's actually like only 2 coaches of the year ever possible to get on this show because we're capped by me and X not being, you know, qualified.
Maybe this is your year, Max. You keep it up. Do you reckon they'll keep doing the awards and stuff?
Do you think they'll do a coach of the year at the end of OWCS?
I think it's impossible.
No, they didn't even do like a proper MVP of stage 1, did they? They like voted for it like before the final day, like before the final 2 games.
Did they? I don't even know they did that. Do you like get anything other than just like your name on Twitter post?
No, I don't. Not that I know of.
I don't know who won it.
Was it? I remember Astro being nominated, and then people were like, "Why has Astro been nominated?"
It's a great question.
Big Four. LA Gladiators.
Yeah, I think it was like, fuck, I can't even remember now. It was Astro, maybe Kev. I don't know. Because
it wasn't a TM guy that won it, but then obviously because the MVP was done before they won the tournament, right? So it must have been an ENCE player. So I reckon it was Kev. It has to have been. But
yeah, I have no idea.
Shout out to Kev.
Big ups, Kev.
I want to ask you, Masaa, when we talk about this shit talk, you say that as like it's all for fun and for players, but when it's you and TM,
it's us out for blood. We hate each other so much. Like
there's like. No, I'm serious.
We did it straight. It's a brawl. It's a brawl. Like on the World Cup, they had security like pull us apart because we were like on each other's throats. You know, you guys remember that, right?
I remember. But there isn't a little bit, like in all seriousness, there isn't like a little, like, is it just all for banter? Because
I have to watch my tongue a little bit here because otherwise they probably ban me from entering the country. So for me, it's like a little bit of a actual beef going on. But like the players are nice. Like most of them are like normal human beings, but like. Just have to be like
some of them aren't. Is that what you're trying to say?
I wonder who he's talking about. Because I have to believe when Yubi was calling Gumber a dog, I really just can't imagine.
I don't think that is not banter.
That in the spirit of bit of banter after we lose.
Yeah, like it's so funny. Like Reddit is like, they're like just having fun. It's like I think that's actually a pretty insulting. Like fuck your mother or something. Like actually trying to go for the throat.
I think so.
Maybe like, but KSA,
for sure.
And they actually banter. They're like nice guys, but like the other ones, like I don't know. Maybe we could DM and ask them like, hey guys, what do you think about this?
I mean, they could be the next guests. You know, like episode 21 could be someone from Team.
You need to get like 2 of us together at the same time and just go at it like two barking at each other like.
So the next UFC card. Yeah, I mean, people wonder, you know, like how serious is it? They don't realize that, you know, it's like you're the guy on a fishing boat with LH Cloudy, you know what I mean? Like LH Cloudy, who's, you know, he's got himself like the better part of a year-long ban for saying something in a ranked game. And there might be like just more than just a little bit of banter involved in that, you know? Like there might be a slight,
I'm just holding out for my boy.
Deep-rooted hatred. Yeah. I mean, is Cloudy still like, is he on the team? Like,
Blood thinks he's on the team. Right? Like he thinks he's on the team, but like he's just like a content guy. He actually like comes to VOD reviews and like starts like, oh yeah, Ryan would be good here. It's like, bro, that's not content. Like you're not part of the team. Like come on.
He's trying to work his way back in, you know. Like
he actually is trying to slither every VOD review. Ryan would be good here. It's like just shut the fuck up. Like mute him, get him out of here.
I try to sow the seeds of a Ryan comeback, and it's just like he'll say that and then tweet about how Ryan is in the worst state it's ever been, completely unbeatable.
We have the worst people like do VOD reviews. First we have Cloud like trying to seed like the Ryan is good. Then we have like Crimso trying to put this Anna in there. Like every map Anna would be good here. Then there's me like, yeah, I don't think Brig's good here, bro. Like Lucia's the best here.
All we need is a Ryan Lucio Anna comp.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good, right?
Can I ask as well, then, while we're on the topic, what's the deal with Ghost? Because I think a lot of people expected Ghost to return to the roster maybe after stage 1, but we've still not really seen him in too much so far. Is it still the plan to get him in, or what's the situation?
Yeah, like I'm a player. Like every time someone asks me about our team thing, I'd say like I just play the game, bro. But I think like especially with Crimso, like he just talks so much more. And we have players like Kai, he's just kind of chilling too. He doesn't talk that much. So we just need players who yap more. So Crimso has been able to like provide that, and he plays the like other heroes than like Baptiste like on a higher level. So I think it's just been just that like, he talks more and he plays the heroes better. So I think if there's like a Baptiste meta ever become like where Baptiste like hard play, then I think we will see more Ghost.
Yeah, I feel like I have some views on this, not about like Ghost specifically, but with players like Ghost, where it's like you'll have these players on your roster, you know, like someone for our example, it's like Squid on Luminosity, where it's like you can see that this guy is like your development pickup, you know what I mean? Like he's really, really, really good at something that's like on the newer end of the spectrum, and you're like, this guy has like insane fucking talent, you know? If I put enough time into you, you're going to be really good. But you always need to have this like, it's just like a permanent like battle with yourself about whether you give the guy playtime or not, because it's like there's someone right there on the roster that's better at what they're playing right now. You know, like you can sub someone in and win more today, but you got to think like, if I give him lots and lots of playtime, are we going to win even more in 3 months kind of thing? You kind of need to hedge your bets. But maybe in the case of Ghost versus Crimso, the gap is so large that you're just forever going to give Crimso 100% of the Anna time and 100% of this, that, and the other, because Ghost is just like, is he just like a pure Baptiste one trick, no mic, nothing, just?
Yeah, I don't know about the like mechanical side. He just doesn't like Crimson screams when there's a tracer on him. He's like screaming on top of his lung. Like Ghost is like, oh gosh, there's a tracer on me. I'm like, oh, my Baptiste is dead. Like goddamn, I need to go help him.
So Ghost doesn't have empathy. You know, he doesn't realize that if you speak louder and with urgency, people are more likely to help you. He hasn't figured that one out yet.
Yeah, but he's a young guy too. Like it probably takes a while, you know, to start actually like. Start screaming.
Yeah, exactly. It takes until like your early 20s to start really masking your autism with, you know, feigned emotions and stuff like that. So, you know, Ghosty will figure it out eventually. We just need to give him a little bit more time. Look, if Crimso can do it, anyone can. Let's be real here.
That's true.
Are there any plans? Wait, is Crimso over in EU, or is he just playing on ping forever?
He's playing on ping, but I'm not sure if they have like plans to bring him here, because like we had a photo shoot day and they didn't bring like Crimso or Gamba. Actually, thank God they didn't bring Gamba. We actually had a fun time there because he wasn't there.
Actually enjoyed your day.
Yeah, like it's actually nice. Like you can just like, oh, he's talking. You can just mute him and like go talk with the boys. Like it's actually pretty chill.
No, I saw Kai hitting the shrug, like a gif of Kai just going. It looks like any org that gets players on site in the current year, you know, like there's just a massive boon for that. Like,
yeah, it is.
Actually missing media days, man. Like it's so fucking over.
Oh, but Kevin managed to dodge that too. I don't know. Like he says, yeah, I don't have a passport. Like you don't even need the passport to cross the borders here. He's like, lives in Sweden. You just walk over, bro. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to come. Like actual land dodger.
Everyone knows that Kev is a chronic land dodger, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
this guy could have been an owl for like 2 more seasons. He could have got like infinitely more bags if it didn't take him up the courage to hop on a plane.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he gets so agoraphobic so that he can't go back to Dallas now, you know? Like, even if they come first and qualify, like, first seed, you know, Kev still won't go to Dallas because, you know, he just doesn't want to get on that plane.
The plan to beat ENCE is convince Kev not to get on the plane.
I mean, you're like $2 and he starts going. A bag of noodles and it's like, yeah.
start showing him like the Boeing shareholders meetings and stuff. Have you seen these planes these days, Kev? Jesus Christ!
Christ, you see what happened to that whistleblower, mate?
Covering up something here. Sticky tape on the plane.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you an important message. You might be looking at your screen thinking these are the 3 wealthiest people I've ever seen, but that would actually be completely untrue. In fact, we're in need of financial support. If you enjoy the podcast, you want to support us, you can do it at Patreon. And you get a lot of good perks on Patreon. You now actually get the episode a day early. So if you're interested in being ahead of the news, getting all our takes for everyone else, or even interested in cancelling us, if you want to cancel us, if you want to take us down, the important thing when cancelling someone is you've got to be the first person to cancel. No one cares about the second person to blow the whistle. You need to be the first person to blow the whistle. So if you want to cancel us, subscribe to the Patreon, get that early access, get yourself on Reddit, get that headline, get the glory, get us cancelled. One of the other big perks you get as well is you get access to the Q&A. I think we've all had some pretty good questions so far. But I thought I'd open up to you guys and see if you could ask one question to the other hosts, what would it be?
I'd probably ask UX for a skincare routine, like the shine on the top of your head there, mate. Like there must be some secret technology that you're using on it.
It's actually just good genetics.
Some people just get it all.
Yeah. Minus the hair, I suppose. And yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't ask much for either of you. Don't really care for your personal lives, to be honest.
It's
more like a
one thing for you.
Yeah, exactly. This is just my day job.
Yeah. All right. Support us on the Patreon, guys. Thank you.
Can I ask then, would you describe ENCE as like quite a fun team to be part of, or does it become quite serious? Like, I feel like Finns, generally speaking, are like more on the serious side of life. I think Kai's kind of fun, but also I don't think he's necessarily, like, in my experience, like a super emotional leader that's gonna kind of like pump everyone up to have a bit of fun. And then presumably Gumba's impression is one that doesn't allow too much enjoyment. So
Gumba doesn't have like human emotions, so like he's not gonna be allowing any fun. But I think it's actually funny how we started. Like when we started building ENCE, it started out like this like Finnish fun project because like Cloud is just like building pretty much like the World Cup team. Where actually it was just for fun. Like we were actually just like trolling scrims and like having fun. And that's what got me back into like playing Overwatch competitive, because like, oh wow, I actually had fun. I'm not like dead inside like in Vancouver where I just like go in to do my like 6 or 8 hours and I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to bed, fuck this. So it started at that. Then we got like Kev and Kai, and then we got Crimso too. So it started to form more into like a serious team, especially with like Gamba in the reins. So I think it's kind of a bit more on the serious side.
Yeah,
but like especially now we've been adding like new players like Chase and stuff like that, so we're still like kind of like figuring out the team synergy, who's like the class clown and who's just like being autistic in the corner, so it takes some time.
Where's Chase on that spectrum?
I mean, I can't say. He's a nice little boy, so I don't want to hurt his feelings.
So he's autistic in the corner. I'm so sorry, Chase. And he's Ukrainian too. Fuck, it's not looking good.
I thought the rumors were that Chase was quite happy to be outspoken and angry during scrims. That's what I heard. That's the word on the street. But maybe you guys haven't lost enough scrims to see that side of him yet.
Yeah, but it will come. It'll come. Like we're having a rough spot right now, so we'll get him out of it. Like he's gonna start screaming at us. Like, but maybe he's just like he knows he's like playing with Kev, Kai, and like Crimson and stuff like that. So he knows like if he starts like yelling at them, like he might be in the wrong there.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Well, he's gone from being the top dog to like the bottom dog in the hierarchy
he's like
now.
The runt of the leader, so he like gets the scraps. And like I swear to God, it even shows like on the VOD reviews like where Gamba is like dogpiling on our tanks every time because like they're the rookies usually. It's like an hour roast instead of the tank when I've like gotten 0 beat value. I'm sitting in the corner like, oh God, thank God, that's not me.
No, I mean, look, if it turns out in a couple of months that Chase gets a little too comfortable and he starts flaming Kev every single fight, I mean, I feel like he might just be delusional at that point, I feel like if you spend enough time with Kev, you realize that it's actually like really low frequency that he's the one making the game-losing mistake that lost you a series or a fight or a map or anything for that matter, like unless it's like a Dragon Blade involved. Pray you don't have a Genji meta, because like he's the king of the neutral, but like just don't put an ult in his hands.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of same thing with like BB.
Chance.
The man is like when his blade comes out, it's like they're not threatening. Let's say that.
Yeah, no, more cosmetic than anything else. You know, they're a layer of like a bigger macro game, but they're not lethal.
Yeah. He doesn't have the Korean passport, so like it's -50 on damage and kill possibilities.
Yeah.
I always thought with Gumba, like when you guys made this like Finnish team, I always had this idea that like at some point you were gonna like, you ever heard the expression of like letting the fox in the hen house? Or it's like at some point, you know, you want to build this team with your friends and have a bit of fun, and then Gumba's slowly one by one killing all of your friends.
It actually is. He's just eating everyone alive. We had like I think 4 or 3 Finnish starting. I'm the last surviving member. Like best life's done. Killed. I'm next. Like I'm the last Mohican, like fighting here for my life.
And then you're next, right?
Yeah, I know.
Is going to be 0 Finns, and once he figures out who's the next up and coming Lucio player.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
was
like
Pablo the first to die?
Pablo was dead on impact.
Oh yeah, I saw on it. Yeah. You guys say the Pablo. My boy Pablo.
I mean, he should have learned his lesson.
Pablo got his head blown off like day one. Yeah.
He was probably so happy to be on this team with like good players, like after the World Cup success. And then whose idea was it to bring Gumba? It was Sona, right? Like Sona.
No, it was Cloudy. Like I don't know what that man is chefing up. Like we had like the Finnish like core roster. He's like selling this idea to me, like, bro, stop your 9 to 5. We have this like really fun roster coming up. I'm like, okay, well, I'll see what it goes to. And then like we have the core, we have the roster. We're talking with ENCE. And then the Gamba spawns in, like, wait, what's happening? Then like all the like Americans, like Canadians, like people from Europe. I'm like, bro, where are these people coming from? And now I'm just like last man standing here, and I'm low, like I'm watching over my neck all the time, like when I'm walking on the streets. That's how I'm gonna be got next.
Did Cloudy not do like a Winston only account? Is he not trying to grind that too? Because I feel like originally Cloudy had this idea that he was going to be the Winston player for the team. But I feel like Cloudy, nice guy, but slight delusion in terms of the amount of
hope he's
this guy's ever going to have.
I thought it was like an insurance policy, like in case like Chase can't get out of Ukraine.
No, because even before Chase, he was grinding Winston. Because I remember we scrimmed you one time, it was Hollywood, and then Cloudy came in to play the Winston. And I remember looking at it and I was thinking, I suspect this isn't going to happen in an official. You know, I don't think this lineup is showing up on game day ever. So I don't know, maybe like Cloudy in the back of his head is like, oh, if Ryan map, like maybe I'll get playtime. But presumably once Chase got involved, Cloudy's chance of playtime went from 0.5% to just 0.
Yeah, unless it's a hard Ryan meta that you can't play anything else than Ryan. Like I have a suspicion that man will not say the Day of Light in the battlefields like ever.
Oh. That competitive ban, it's like it's just the end of days for him now. You know, he's never ever going to come back.
You gotta know what you say. Like, be smart about it. We can't support this racist in our teams.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. To be honest, I think his ban should have been longer.
Yeah, like maybe 3 or 4 years.
They should have cut off one of his hands or his tongue or something. Yeah.
Take one of his eyes out. Like he doesn't need them.
Yeah, no, fair. Next time you go fishing with him, just throw him in the fucking water. You know.
Well, I mean, if there's any like rich oil people in my chat, like, you know, couple of thousand to my PayPal.
Don't go kill Cloudy.
Hey, Qatari Prince, thanks for the 30K. What's that in the
water, Rony? In game, of course, in game.
In game, naturally.
Finally found a way to make Overwatch a full-time income.
Yeah, just become a heap man. Like,
So should we talk a little bit about the actual result as well? Because you had a pretty scary matchup against Peps. Did you expect this to be anywhere near this close at all when you go into it?
Like, I don't know what is with Peps against us. Like, I swear to God, they lock in so hard. Like, they figured us out, or like maybe we played probably bad too. That's probably it. Like, I AJ'd 1 beat and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like, they played so well against us. I actually had to stop my stream because like I get a little bit of input lag when I stream. I'm like, oh my God, we're down 2 maps. Like, I have to stop this. Like, we need to try so hard. We're like screaming on top of our lungs and actually like super hard trying. Like, it's like the grand finals against these like guys. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I actually feel like the Peps rebuild, it's been pretty successful actually.
Yeah.
Like, I really feel like the players that they've picked, like I think there's like a few next ups there, you know, like Exodial I think looks really fucking good. Like Tread I think is actually like, especially because he's on American
I'm
ping.
a Tread head nowadays. Like, he's good.
his Winston is so good for someone that was just like an off-tank, like tier 3 player up until like a week ago, you know? So it feels like the rebuild's good. But I'm also like, I still watched it and I was like, I swear whenever I see them in scrims or when we scrim them, they're nowhere near as good as they look. So maybe they're like an official team. Obviously, we've got them next. So hopefully it's just like an ENCE. Like,
it could be that like they're just like a good matchup against us, or like we played bad. But I don't want to sell them short that like saying that we played bad. Like they played really well too, and they have the rebuild, as you said, is like it's looking really good actually. They have like they got rid of the best of Ben's, so maybe he was the issue. They got the trade like going hard now, so.
I think it's pretty insulting that you insinuate Ben was a problem. To be honest, I don't know. Just is he done? Fully done?
He's in. He spectates all the scrims and stuff. So I don't know if he's happy with coaching, but I haven't seen him play since the
coaching.
Well, especially since Tread's in for Winston as well, right now. It seems like when it's like a Winston Orisa thing, you would think if there is something that falls into Ben's hero pool, maybe that's like.
I mean, those were the only heroes that Ben could get playtime for on Washington Justice. You know, it was like anytime Winston or Orisa needed to be picked, they'd kill Mirror one more time. You know, like
but I mean, if you still have a white man on Winston, like it's not going to be good.
You're in Europe. Every man on Winston is white. Like it's.
I mean, you could still
get. It's a goddamn cracker factory. Like it's unbelievable.
They're the greatest cracker.
It's actually so fucked playing in like the North American Winston scene. You know, like you go fight by fight, and anytime anyone plays a Winston comp, it's just like. Even if the fundamentals, you know, it seems like there's a case for it. You just need to budget like a third of all fights for just like catastrophic game-losing mistake from one of the two Winstons that causes an immediate defeat screen. You know, like it's actually fucked. It's so unbelievable, like the level of mistaking taking place. It's we're not taking it to Korea. Come Dallas, you know, like it's just not.
I think everyone in EU is like, for example, like we're not gonna play Mangi against Korea. We're not gonna play the Mangi Dove against Korea. We'll try to figure something else out during then. But like here, we can like just fight it out.
Yeah, it's like on this comp right now, like the comp on the screen, like Orisa, Creed, Tracer. Like I can see this being a comp where it's like people go really competitive with Asia on this comp. Like I could totally see this, but it's like if a dive tank comes into the meta, like if Ball is good. It's so over, bros. Like it's just so over. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like the level on dive is just so much lower. Don't let Capitology hear this, you know. Or there's probably like someone else in the internet that's gonna get really upset at this, you know. Maybe Kasaurus is watching and he's like, no, our dive is exceptional. Like one more merit tracer map and we'll be there.
He's gonna figure it out.
Yeah, no, just like hash it out. Unbelievable. Jeez,
I don't know. I feel like in EU. Like I guess like that fourth spot in theory looks really open. Like now, I think, and I could see like Peps maybe being that fourth best team, depending on how they shape up come like on the new patch and stuff. I think like their rebuild seems to have been like a massive success.
I guess a couple of the other teams that have sort of come in and are also competing this. So for like the Peace and Love and the Ataraxia roster, so like. The Abik team who finished 4th seed in Swiss, and obviously Ataraxia is like the sauna / I guess it's kind of like quick esports plus a couple of people.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a new like all of those teams like feel like they can maybe like compete. Like each of them seem to have like one or two decent players. Like the sauna team seems to be the most interesting because they're quite vocal. Like they stream with comms and stuff, so you can kind of see. And it seems like that team seems fucking tense. Apparently they had a coach, a guy called Butek or something. He was a Korean coach. Apparently after they lost this game to Peace and Love, like he just immediately rage quit the team, like called all the players shit and just fucking like peaced out. So like his LFT was like 10 minutes after the game was over, he's like, I'm fucking LFT in EMEA. But the good news is, I don't know if you saw this, Max, but they have a new coach who's going to presumably take them back into the Big Four.
Okay, no play.
Anyone have any? Does Kalios? How's his English bar? Okay, no play.
I think his English is probably decent. You know, like it's probably like above average. Just because, like, don't you kind of get that impression from him? Like he's always clowning around on Twitter and stuff like that. You know, making like pretty Western compatible jokes. I feel like there's no way that he hasn't like picked up a little bit here and there. I feel like he's one of the more engaged people, and I think if you're engaged, you probably have like better English. But
this is like
what the fuck is he doing? What is he doing?
this is one where everyone involved is just so uncomprehendibly naive. The team is so naive that they think if they just get someone who's Korean, he's going to be able to teach them how to play the fucking game. Kalios is unbelievably naive. Do you know how fucking taxing the Korean to EU schedule is? Like, this is like fucking like 4 a.m. scrims every day, and talking with guys who are going to be so much worse than what you expect them to be able to do, losing scrims, raging at each other. This actually, I think, this is my not hot take. This can improve the team in 0 ways and will almost certainly just make everything worse. If they just got like a random fucking EU dad coach to just support them, it would have like a more positive interaction than this, in my experience.
I think this could actually have been the window of opportunity for GetMAs to get a like a little comeback in the scene, and it's just been completely blown on Kalios instead. Also, you say, like, does he understand how taxing the schedule is and whatnot? It's like, I feel like this guy must have been coaching in OWCS Asia for $0. You know what I mean? Like, I still don't have like a very full understanding of like what's being provided for by these OWCS Asia teams, Because like if you won in OWCS Asia, didn't your whole team get like fucking 13 grand or something? Like it's insane how broke that region is beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think the best you get is like a futon and like an unironic packet of ramen. Like that's like your daily salary at this point. Like I saw a picture of like what Faith was eating in the team house, and it was just like, it was actually like a packet of ramen with nothing in it, Like in the O2 Blast days and like the Glory days, like they would post their like team house meals, and it would actually look good, Like they'd be sitting there eating some meat, like an actual nice looking spread. It's like Faith has actually on Poker Face, he has downgraded so hard that he's genuinely eating like just a little plastic packet of carbohydrates that cost 7 cents, Like that's what the org is providing for him at this point. So you say that the schedule might be taxing for Kalios, but they're probably paying him like upwards of $3 an hour to do that. So
no way he's getting salaried, is he? Is Ataraxia like an org?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. Is the actual org, do they pay?
I think he's like
is this for free?
I think it's for free.
I thought they were like I don't know about like for the coach position. I thought they were like a couple of $100 a month type org.
Oh, really?
Upwards of $3 an hour potentially.
You got to bear in mind, previously on Genesis, Kalios spent an entire month playing to get $3,000 between 6 people. so this might actually be a significant financial gain for him.
Like that boy just needs to get a real job at that point. Like it's not worth it anymore.
This is the new standard of team house food that I'm seeing on Twitter. So it's like it might just be fucking over chat. I'm going to be honest. Like if you're a Korean Overwatch League, a Korean OWCS player, like it's so fucking chalked. It's like that's a packet of ramen with like a quarter of an onion sliced into it, dude. It's so over.
Yeah, it does feel like looking at it, once you take out the love of the game, there's some fucking writing, not that writing on the wall, but there is like significant fucking writing on the wall for certain people's careers where you'd have to probably advise them, you probably got to stop doing this shit full time.
Yeah,
it actually looks like they need to translate. Yeah, they need to translate the writing on the wall for these
maybe
guys.
That's a different language.
There's writing on the wall, but they just don't know what it says. Because
unfortunately, Kalios is looking at the writing on the wall and he's like, "Yeah, what's that? 3 a.m. I start? Okay."
But the actual conclusion of this was actually he's coming onto a losing Ataraxia team who lost to Peace and Love for the second time after losing him to Swiss. There's a bit of heat here because obviously Abik was originally on this team, and then they all went to Ataraxia and didn't take him with them. So Abik has a bit of a dog in this fight, and he's won twice so far.
Yeah, losing this time was also really bad for them, right? Because I think that like it puts them immediately against TM, which presumably is like going to be like a very tough game. And I don't know who they would play in the losers, but actually like that Group D winning it is actually really, really quite a nice bracket. I think that like that's like a good position to be in. I think you have like a good chance to go at least like top 6, maybe even like top 4. But losing that one, I think will actually like hurt like fuck.
It's a bit awkward for them now because now they have to play the like decider match against Orya as well, most likely. So they're gonna have to potentially play against like a buff ball, and then like Ken just playing like Tracer alongside Chasm's ball. This might actually be like a trickier matchup than it would have been otherwise.
Do you guys think Ball is back?
I don't know. Did you scrim 1 block yesterday or 2?
We scrimmed 2 blocks, but neither of the maps that we played on those blocks made me feel particularly convinced that Ball was back. Yeah, we just lost. We lost our classic maps. I'll put it that way. We lost maps that we were winning, or we were losing regardless of the Wrecking Wheel presence. Yeah, it doesn't feel that strong. Like I thought that the shout change, like turning the adaptive shield into a shout was going to be good, but like the people that were playing, the people that actually have a feel for the game, they were saying like, oh, it feels like it's just giving people like the most negligible amount of overhealth ever. Like you don't really feel it nearly as much. Like JQ shout, that actually provides you with like quite a lot of health, and it gives you like a speed boost as well, which is like a really significant thing. But getting like 27 health from your Wrecking Wheel slam, like that's probably not that important.
Yeah. I also feel like with JQ and Mauga, like it's so much easier to be stacked with the team because that's how you want to be playing. Like the Ball, like the way his gameplay works anyway, I feel like 9 times out of 10 you're either just going to use the shield for yourself or maybe you plus the Tracer, which maybe isn't terrible. Like 75 HP on a Tracer is maybe like quite nice. But yeah, my feeling with the Ball is like I think it's way stronger than it was, but I don't know if it like fixes all of the issues. Like I feel like there's still like certain maps or like certain like matchups where I don't think he looks optimal. I think to me, like the most important thing, if Ball ever wants to become meta, is they need to give Zen like a really like Zen plus Ball is actually like a really good synergy. But I think as long as the meta is like Kiri or maybe even Anna, I feel like Winston looks better. I will say there was like certain maps where Ball couldn't be played, where actually Ball looks really good now. Like anything with like high grounds and buildings, the new grapple, it's actually really nice. Like there was a few maps we were playing against Toronto, and I was like, oh fuck, like Ball would be dog shit here. It looks so good now because you can just like, it's so much easier to just like hide above people and stuff. But my like initial feeling was it's a nice buff. The hero is more strong, but I don't think at least right now we will see him become hard meta, I think.
Do you think some of that is because there's not like any super high talent balls, or most teams are struggling for it, like even say take a team like Toronto, right? Like I don't think anyone's raving about someone's ball or something.
Maybe. I mean, when we scrimmed him, I thought he looked pretty good at it. Like I think he clearly picks these things up, and I think Hattie's ball is really good too. I just like when I watch like a Ball versus Winston mirror, I just like look at it and I'm like, everything that Ball wants to do, Winston could do easier, more effectively with a better ult, and synergizes with the rest of the team much better. Like I said, like I think if you get into like a Bap Zen or like a Brig Zen, then I think Winston can't be played with those heroes really. So it's either like Diva or Ball, and then or Doomfist maybe. But I think Ball could be good, but I think until the support, like Kiri, I mean, obviously this is like a big talking point, the fact that like Kiri is still like obscenely strong. But I think as long as it's like a Lucio Kiri meta, I think Ball is like, I really struggle to see how it can be like optimal there.
I feel like it has a bit of a place, like there's definitely some map types where like there's at least a little bit of potential, it's just gone from being like a 0% pick rate to, maybe being something a little bit non-zero, and that's fine, like, right?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It just sucks that like Orisa's a pretty good like natural counter to it too, like Orisa plays quite well into Wrecking Ball overall, like just breaking the breaking his grapple. Fucking grapple or whatever, like with Spear, that's actually like really valuable and really important in the way that his kit plays right now. And Orisa just does that naturally with her CC. So it's like, I don't know. They've done nothing. They've accomplished nothing.
Is there an argument it's better now into like, I don't know, like some of these more ground, like into a Ram or into a Rhine or whatever, and that has just made it like a bit better
into
around
a
those
Rhine,
type of
into
things.
a Rhine, yeah.
So if Ball's meta, even less chance Cloudy gets back into the team.
Have you seen his ball? He's glued with it.
Maybe Cloudy's the hidden ball player for ENCE. I mean, I think so. I think that, to be fair, I think actually, like, even I remember when we played ENCE like months ago, we would play the Ball against their Ram stuff, and I didn't think it was terrible back then. Like, I felt like it like seems like a decent counter to certain heroes. So I definitely could see it being like better anti-brawl on some maps. But my feeling is in the dive mirror, you won't see it so much. But I mean, I literally played like 3 hours on the block, so on the patch. So I've been wrong before.
Yeah, no, we've had one scrim against a human team, and they didn't win every single map on the new hero when they forced it on every map, so it must be garbage. Like there's no room for improvement for them after one day. So calling it here, Wrecking Ball, completely terrible. Patch changes nothing. Oh well. I kind of want to see like Merit on Tracer and Sugar Free on Echo with a Wrecking Ball though. I feel like that could be insane.
I think Merit Genji might actually be the solution that nobody's considered.
I mean, that was obvious though, no? Like I feel like everyone was thinking that was just going to come out day one.
The Menji.
Just anything but the mid scan, like please don't play that.
Don't give this guy a gun. Anything but a gun.
A pistol or something to throw, maybe some rockets, a pipe. Like just do not give the guy a gun.
Was there anything else while we're on the patch that felt like it changed significantly yesterday? Because they tweaked a lot of like Tracer's been tweaked, Lucio's had his damage tweaked, and if this actually feel like impactful, now we won't just see him in like 99% of situations.
No, it's a nothing burger patch. We played the 1.2 and it's all the same. But maybe like OWCS will crack the code with like Torb or something. Who knows? Like they're actually the meta leaders. It's not like what would Shock do anymore. It's like what would OWCS do.
What about the Lucio? Can you feel it at all? I feel like Astro was saying that maybe feels like he doesn't really do as much damage anymore, but maybe the nature of Lucio is he's not in the comp because he does damage.
Yeah, it's slows the damage and farming the beat. At least like because I'm so fucking mad about the like Violet playstyle. When I hear like Gampa saying, "Oh, play like Violet," where you just like sit as a turret on the ground, just shoot and amp heals. So everything that like does and like nerf that type of playstyle, I think it's fine because now you have to actually like because they changed the damage from like the shooting to the boop. So the boop is actually more valuable now. So you kind of have to like think where to use it a little bit. So I think it like rewards moving a bit more. So I'm like actually kind of in for it.
Yeah, I do think that the Tracer nerfs are so fucking welcome. Like that. Like the fucking post bomb became like what was originally like the highest skill ult in the game to hit, to just every player with like half of a working arm was just getting fucking like 5k post bombs on cooldown. So I think it's actually still too fucking easy to hit from the one block that I saw. I actually think they need to fucking nerf it more. But the fact that it charges in like 1 second and is just like a guaranteed double kill on any target. Like the amount of times I see Tracer sticking Tracers since season 9, you actually never fucking saw it before, but it happens every block now. So I actually felt like for sure that the post needed to be nerfed. And then maybe what you'll start to see is like actually like only the really, really good Tracer players can play it, as opposed to just everyone in the fucking world's looking like Prime Kessler on it.
I still remember what was it? I think it was about to have been ENCE versus like Left Right Good Night, and it was just Wimone v Kev, and it was like both teams played Moira Ram or something on New Queen Street, and both Tracers just had like 2 kills per pulse ball on average. Just like nobody could survive because there's no Suzu. It's just like it's just like everyone's just they've got a pulse. Kev's hit his pulse. Wimone's hit his pulse. Next fight, they're gonna do it again.
And I also think, by the way, that's like a super important reason why Kiri is meta. Like one of the most significant reasons why Kiri is meta is that like when we play against like the Ana Break teams, and it's like, okay, everything looks really even, but then my pulse bomb is just getting 4 times the value of yours, and that's actually enough to swing maps like super consistently. So I think if every pulse bomb wasn't guaranteed 4 kills like it was last patch, I can see maybe there is the argument that like a different hero out of Kiri can kind of like come out a little bit. Because actually, if you don't play like BAP or Kiri and have like a reasonable answer to the fact that you are going to be stuck by this post bomb on cooldown, you just lose team fights regardless of ult economy, because fucking Kev's there or Cloud fucking sticks for, you know?
I think because RuPaul came out as well, didn't he, and complained about Kiriko in general, and actually just a bit too good at everything. I think Gumba said a similar thing before, where like certain heroes like Kiriko and Sojin just fall into this category where they're just like a bit too good at everything, too much impact, too much utility, too much movement, too hard a hitbox to hit. So they just become like the must picks in almost every comp, every version of a situation.
The hero syndrome. They just get like 4 different things in their kits, and then you have like Reinhardt or Soldier who like runs a little bit faster or like has a shield.
Yeah. I feel like the original Overwatch balance had like every hero had like strengths and weaknesses, and the same thing happened in League of Legends. I always call it like
same thing.
Yeah, like you remember Zia when he first came out in League of Legends? Literally had everything, like poke, wave control, safety, CC, shields, like literally every single thing that you could want in a hero. Yeah, we'll just fucking give it all of them. And so they just like removed half of it because it was like, yeah, this is like hideously broken. But it's like sometimes it looks so hard to justify why you would ever play Ashe over Sojourn. Like what is her strength over Sojourn? Like Sojourn does everything better, plus has a million more strengths, you know.
Ult's better as well. Yeah,
miles better. And that's like that's maybe one of the things that like with the hero design, like I think the original Hog and the original Zen, they were so good because they had like such clear upsides and such clear downsides that there was like situations where you could pick them. And then now this I don't know what the word is, but like every hero just kind of like is just fucking can do everything a little bit more. Yeah, I feel like that's like there is like such a noticeable power creep in this game, right? They try to fucking play Reinhardt, like the original hero. This fucker loses you remember like Rein pin used to be impactful, you know? The only thing that could block the pin was fucking another Reinhardt pinning it or something.
Yeah.
Now there's like 5 heroes which can either like knock each other down, and then there's like numerous heroes which if they use their shift and you pin, you fall to the ground and they don't. So it's like okay, like it's just fucking like it's totally cooked. Like every patch they just find a new way to fuck my boy Ryan.
Wait, have we talked about 9K's take from that tweet at all? Because I thought it could be like a little bit of content for us to try and interpret what he wrote in reply to RuPaul's tweet.
I actually have no fucking clue.
No, because I saw it and I linked it in the chat, and then like a day later, like 9K was just replying to himself with like more stuff. And it's like I didn't know what he was saying the first time. Like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Like he's trying to describe like utility creep or something, you know, like mobility creep, power creep, something like that. But what is he saying?
I think what he means is if you nerf Kiriko, then Ana becomes played everywhere. Because the only reason that Ana isn't played everywhere is because Kiriko is the only person that can cleanse it. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the heroes that have immunities like Bap and Kiri, they both have, you know, very, very high pick rates all the time because you can completely shut down someone with an immortality button.
You have to thinking about why other supports, why they aren't use just buff or give.
You need to read this. We're a podcast.
Okay,
like, we need you to read this for us, X.
All right, so we'll start with the original.
To read it word for word.
just to get ahead of it, I will not be attempted to do the accent. Just put it. Not doing the accent. Not doing the accent.
If you subscribe on Patreon, you might do that.
No, actually, Patreon subs get the episodes 1 day early, and we read tweets in their native accent. Yeah, for our extremely uncoachable tier, which is only $100 a month, we will also dress up as the nationality of the people who tweeted.
Oh, fuck's sake. All right, so this is in response to RuPaul's long tweet. So a quote tweet of RuPaul's tweet explaining why he thinks Kiriko is a lot of reasons we discussed. So then 9K replies, nerf Kiriko over Ana. You need to thinking about why other supports, why aren't they used just buff, or give a more reasonable reason to other sup power. Also, only 2 main support exists, Lucio/Brig. That is also a big issue. Stop focusing on the minutia.
I love that last line because it's like such high level English.
Like,
guys, just stop focusing on the minutia. I can't even pronounce the word, you know, like I would never fucking use that word.
Like it really like it sharpens up at the end. But I don't know where we've come from. I don't know where we've come from, though, unfortunately. Like,
I mean, I get the feeling that the way that came is like, you know, he used Papago for the final sentence.
I think the sentiment is that Kiriko isn't the problem. It's everything else is a bit shit. There should just be more heroes like Kiriko.
Yeah, I think 9K really wants the game to move in that direction. You know, when you said that all tanks need to have Winston jump as their passive? Like, I think like 9K's in, they just like give every hero fucking like mobility, give every hero cleanse. Like he wants to like give every hero steroids, you know, he wants to do like steroid Olympics that people want. I'm the opposite, you know, I want more drug testing. So like for these like fucking like Kiriko and Sojourn heroes, and I want them to, you know, to to have to fucking play like a mortal person, not like all of this. But
oh wait,
yeah.
Maybe his second tweet actually clarifies this a lot. So his second tweet says, Kiriko and Sojourn are the best designed heroes for making a game more interesting. Blizzard should create more heroes like them rather than heroes like Lifeweaver, who have too many weaknesses and limitations. Hero with a high skill floor and ceiling are the best designed.
Yeah, I totally disagree.
Yeah, I totally disagree as well. I think there's like way too much power creep in all of the new cast members, and it feels like the devs are just like incapable of like understanding what they're even doing with it, you know? Like, I don't understand how they can bring out Kiriko, where like everything about her kit is so powerful in combination with her hitbox being like absolutely tiny, you know? It's like they give her every piece of utility that is like mega useful, you know? Like damage that scales really well with your mechanics, and immunity, which everyone complained about with BAP because it's so fucking broken. Ridiculous mobility, like basically more mobility than any of the supports, and the smallest hitbox, right? And then they come out with Lifeweaver, and it's like he has 50% of what Kiriko has from a utility standpoint, wank damage, and he's morbidly obese. Genuinely. It's like the guy's like 37 on a fucking BMI scale. It's ridiculous. I'm pretty sure his hitbox is bigger than Junker Queen. And it's like, if they don't understand the weakness with that, like how can they bring out these two characters side by side in the span of like a year? You know, it's like, it's just ridiculous. Like they don't know their own game. They don't know that one of these characters, you can click on them from 100 million kilometers away. And one of them is so thinspo that they can just fucking fly through walls no matter what. Like it's
the hitbox stuff. I think Blizzard actually like really doesn't have a grasp of how fucking unbelievably important. Like I think if Sojourn had Ash's hitbox, I feel like it's like actually like 50% fucking nerf to the hero, you know? Like even Ash is kind of thin, but I feel like she's like so fucking easy to hit, you know? And like the same with like most of the other hit scans, whereas like Sojourn is just fucking unbelievable.
Isn't she just easy to hit because she has to stand still to shoot? Like, isn't that the...
I don't know. I think maybe that's it. But I feel
easier to chain headshot.
Yeah, maybe because she's always like a turret, and maybe that's like also makes sense if you stand still. But I don't know. I feel like Ashe like is so fucking easy to hit, like for like a tracer or something. Whereas the Sojourn, even if it's just like AD, it's so much harder than fucking than Ashe. No.
Yeah, you can definitely notice like when you try the Lucio combo, like you boop someone into a wall, you triple link and melee. Like on Ashe, you can get it like 99% of the time. You just one shot them. With Sojourn, you just like they just slip out somehow. Like I don't know. They're like
she uses a shift and she goes flat. Like she like
Ashe's shift, like it's so easy to track her out of the sky, right? Like it's like not like a.
Well, it makes her like an easier headshot than anything. Yeah. I feel like they just need to like, because like with Kiriko, the main problem with Kiriko, I mean, there's lots of problems, but like the fact that she can also just be the main healer on the team has to be nonsense, right? Like if her healing was just shit, right? So at best she could take like the Brig role or the Lucio role or something. You had to still play a BAP or an Ana or something, or you just didn't have enough heals. Maybe it wouldn't feel as egregious then. But the fact that she can be like the main healer with Lucio is just crazy, right?
I always felt like that's what Kiri was designed for. Like, okay, I help with the side fights, and then when my flex support gets in trouble, I help them. You know, I have like good dueling. I have like good ways to like win 1v1s. I think you're right. Like, I think that like if this hero, if you just cut her healing in fucking half, and you said, okay, if you play Ana Kiri or like Zen Kiri or BAP Kiri or whatever the fuck you want to play, then this actually becomes like a main healer that like protects the sides more than like a Brig or someone who maybe like is like designed to protect main a little bit more. I think that's actually like quite good hero like design. Like it's interesting. Like the idea that if you force the Kiri shift, then she has to TP out, and then all of a sudden the side where she was protecting is now weak. Or if you punish the timings where she can't be everywhere. But I think you're right. Like I think like Lucio Kiri is like a problem because like my feeling is that like Kiri wasn't designed to just be like heal everything, but I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I can't wrap my head around why that isn't like seen and recognized by the devs. Or maybe it's like one of those things which we always talk about where in fucking goal it's not a problem.
Yeah, well, they made that like even more extreme by doing the headshot triple multiplier thing, you know? So it like scales disproportionately with your skill level. So then it will always have a bad win rate in low ranks because they don't know how to aim at the head. And then in high ranks, it'll always be more valuable because it turns out people can aim at the head when they play the game for 16 hours a day and don't have a job. Or in Mass's case, you know, they have like a Kappa job, you know. Like
what do you mean, bro?
They put an ENCE banner in their background and call it a job. Like,
I mean, you're literally like, what are you even leaving it? That looks like a motel room. Like, you can't be talking shit about like. When you're out there in the trenches.
I'll be honest, dude. I've got Spilo fucking talking smack about my background, and it's like, I'm going to kill you with hammers, dude. Like, this is my grandmother's house because I'm here taking care of her, and you're talking about my background. Like, one day, Spilo, I know, yeah. No, like, I know you're good for like fighting and stuff, Spilo, but you got to sleep, brother. And one day, like hammers, you're done for.
Yeah. What are the unexpected beefs? Maybe I didn't expect Capitology to maybe beef with Aid. That was a little bit of that was a rare one. But maybe the beef that nobody had on the cards was Spilo versus the family members of Uncoachable.
I mean, well, it's like, at least you've got your mother. She's young enough that she can come and defend herself. I'm living with a 91-year-old woman here that doesn't have an internet connection in her house until I've shown up and I connected a router to the wall for the first time 2 weeks ago. You know, like, she can't defend herself. At least your mother can come on Twitter and sling some shit. If I point my phone at my grandmother and say, "Oi, swear in Italian," she won't even hear me. She's deaf.
My mum, I think she did not. She doesn't understand the banter of the internet, so she took this tweet quite fucking badly. I went downstairs to her and I saw that she'd replied to the tweet, and then we could tell by the way my mum wrote it. She didn't write sarcastically; she fucking meant it. You know, like, this was like full like. And I went downstairs. I was like, "Oh, nice tweet," and she goes, "Here's this Spilo, this twat. What's he saying about my house? My house is nice." She started saying, "Oh, he's probably still mad that you fired him, Chris. That's what it is, you know." Like, she couldn't understand that this was like a joke. Yeah, she was like fucking. So I don't know. And then when her tweet blew up because we got a ratio for it, she keeps on saying to me, 400 people have liked my tweet. What is going on? Can you believe this? It's crazy. So my mum's had an absolute wild experience on Twitter this week, thanks to Spilo.
Yeah. How old is your mother? Like, how does she have Twitter? How does she know what this is?
She's like 61. I mean, she's like a classic esports mum, you know? Like, if you go on her profile, she does like, you see how she's also Swiss-pilled. If you look at her profile picture, she's like...
she's a big fan of the Swiss.
She's also Swiss-pilled. She's the one with the Swiss flags that are fucking laying around the house. Of course she's Swiss-pilled.
She said to me, "Did you win the Swiss stage, Chris?" Fucking excellent. That's all about it. But yeah, all of her tweets are just like, there's a few about trains, but most of it is just like about baby pictures.
You and your brother.
You know? So she's just like a classic esports mum. But, you know, the thing is, like, with my room is... because my mum saw it, and then obviously it was like the talk of the house. So my wife saw it. So like, it really affected them, you know, like the idea that like people on the internet were like shit talking like the cleanliness of our house. So Spilo, I hope you're fucking happy with this. Like, I hope this like passes your test. My poor wife woke up this morning and had to clean everything because God forbid I go on a podcast with some fucking bottles for people like you to judge. So fuck you, Spilo.
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. There are some positives to getting clowned by Spilo. You know, it's like, I probably wouldn't have made my bed if I before the episode, if I hadn't, you know, because the making the bed is a bit of a 50-50, and it's like, I go on the broadcast and my room looks like shit, but it's like, man, I rolled out of bed at 4 a.m. and I just been sat on my computer the whole time. I didn't think we were beating Timeless. We were always losing to Timeless in practice. How was I supposed to know they were going to put me on the broadcast, you know? Like, just because I don't have respect for my space, but, you know, like most people, you know, when they know they're going to go on camera, they'll at least feign it, you know? So frankly, I probably should have like shaved, done my background up a little bit, you know, fixed my posture for a couple of minutes, just, you know, gotten locked in, but oh well, you know. Now I have to present as a bum forever, and I get Spilo fucking tweeting about it.
Nice mullet. I love your mullet.
Oh yeah, hammers to a lot of you.
They say often with jokes like that, it's the third time they do it, and that's the funniest. So I think we all look forward to that. No.
Look, if I get to like a 5th talent mention on the broadcast about my fucking haircut, I'm just going to create the most awkward moment the broadcast has ever seen. Because I've like, rest assured, I have like actually the greatest reason ever to have cut that fucking hair. But every time they ask me, I just need to like wince and have my mood taken down a couple of pegs. But if they ask me a couple more times, I'm just going to ruin their whole fucking broadcast. So, you know, just you wait.
You hear that? If you watch Uncoachable Zoe, ask him about his mullet next time he's on the broadcast.
That's the thing, actually, because a lot of these people do. I loaded in for my interview, and the producer, lovely guy, by the way, shout outs to, what is it, Benno? I think it might be Benno. Shout outs to Benno, if that's your name. I hope to, yeah, it is Benno. Thank God, I had to double check that. he goes, like, watch Uncoachable, really love your stuff, really happy with what you're doing here. Hope you appreciate that we wrote the script today so you could beat Timeless and dunk on them, It's like, just genuinely, we have Uncoachable heads in the OWCS production wings, We are potentially shaping the show with our wank here. So, to anyone hearing this, don't ask me about my fucking haircut ever again.
Unless... You're
gonna injure power, you're already abusing it. Like, come on, bro.
Well, to try and avoid Unter dropping the hammers on anyone else, should we talk about a positive memory from the weekend where you went to beat Timeless? So how do you manage that, future coach of the year?
Completely zoned out. How do we beat Timeless?
Yeah.
Did you see the match? They beat themselves, bro. Like, to be so serious. Did you see that, Samoa? It's just five players standing AFK on the ground, and then as soon as the match got close, it was like, they can't win anymore, Like, we were playing the series, and the day before the match, Luke Minnow was like, I really want to play Anna on Eichelwald, because sometimes, like, we would verse ground tank teams on second point, and we would be playing Winston because, we would just like just live in the dream. And Dante would always tell Juby, like, go Anna on second point defense, because you can just get free nades versus the ground tank. It's so easy, So then Luke Minnow, he saw his opportunity. He's like, this is my in, Like, we're getting off Lucio for 1 second. That's my thing, swapping off Lucio. So gave him the map. Immediately got fucking stomped on the map, like just absolutely crushed on the map in the match. But like the first map, like we could see that we were winning this Orisa mirror. Like we were taking the Orisa mirror, and it just felt like we were better at it. Like our natural play was significantly stronger. Maybe something to do with the fact that Timeless isn't very good at taking the angles. And my entire time with Luminosity has just been permanently drilling into them the fact that if they play like pussies in the match and they don't take the angles, they're going to lose the game. You know what I mean? Like if they just 5-man on the point, they're going to lose like Timeless. And it felt like that Timeless match was the first time where it's like I can hear the propaganda being spread. Yeah, I can hear the propaganda being spread in the game chat, where they're talking about it over and over again, and then they lose a fight and someone will be like, oh, no, my bad, I was just being a pussy. It's like, oh, okay, we did it. We finally achieved a level of understanding where it's like, if you hide from the enemy, we're going to lose the game. You know what I mean? And I think Timeless, they clearly hadn't figured that out yet. I hope I'm not giving them too much free coaching here right now by suggesting this. But yeah, if you hide in a corner, jerking off instead of shooting your gun, you're going to lose in OWCS to the good teams. Not to label ourselves a good team. That would be fucking ridiculous.
You are, mate. You are.
But yeah. It's like we loaded in, we won an Orisa mirror, we completely threw an Orisa map. It's like we beat them on the whole push map.
You should have won 3-1. Yeah.
Yeah, we should have won 3-1, but we go to the push map, we go to the final fight, and Juby, we're 80% to like 4 ults, and Juby is like, we have a massive ultimate advantage, let's just fight. So then we push in with our massive ultimate advantage, haven't built a single one of the ults. We just lose before any of the ults come online. It's like they have to push cart, we have high ground position, we have a massive ultimate advantage. And we just push in and feed. And Juby's like, oh, I didn't quite have beat yet. And Vision's like, oh, I didn't quite have overclock yet. And Darcy's like, oh, I was 80 on Orisa ult. And it's like, oh, okay. Well done, guys. Well done. So then like the post map is just like, yeah, I think you guys had that in the bag low key, like really low key. I feel like we're winning every neutral here. I feel like we don't actually need to make any changes to win this series. And then it's like Suravasa, I feel like we kind of, whether it was Suravasa and New Junk, I can't even remember. Flashpoint, we beat them. We go to the final map. They do their classic tank substitution, and it's like it's just over for them. It's so fucking over. Like you just know that they don't stand a chance at that point because everyone knows Timeless. When it comes down to the clutch, when it comes down to the map 5, you can't scream the enemy to death. Like you can't talk the enemy to death, and their composure was just like absolutely. Yeah, you do have to shoot them, and their composure was like completely cracked at that point. Like you could see they were just fucking falling apart at the wayside. So. I don't know, Capitology.
Do you think there is like an ounce of like the shit talking affected it at all? Like,
oh, 100%. Even if the players weren't like super bought into it, like I know that everyone sees all of this stuff, like our players see it, their players see it. there's no doubt in my mind that it affects people, you know, like people's egos are on the line. Like even the people that aren't involved, like their egos are more on the line, you know? And this is why I love the shit talk so much, because it's like from the coach standpoint, it's like you can raise the stakes and you don't even care. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't even like really affect you, but like you can just raise the tension in the room, you know? And I feel like versus some of these teams, like raising the tension, that's a valuable thing for sure. Like getting more people's egos on the line.
Because I remember when I was in season 2 Fusion, I came in as assistant coach, and for sure no one had a fucking clue who I was, especially my Korean players. And I thought, I'll do what every new coach does who gets into a league. I'll just talk shit on Twitter because I have a fucking ego, right? And I remember I was beefing with Jane like every fucking day, like all of this shit. And I remember we lost, and I'm thinking, looking back on it now, my players fucking hated the fact that me, the assistant coach of a fucking team, was talking shit on Twitter to Dallas, and then we lost to them. You know, like that actually really fucking pissed everyone off, because they're like, why the fuck is this guy talking shit? And I wonder if there's an element of somewhere like the same here, you know? Like Capitology isn't even the head coach, you know? Like he's like the assistant coach, and he's getting into all this fucking drama. Like this like timeless meme has now gotten so much legs because like their assistant coaches made 2 tweets to 5 people. I wonder if the players fucking hate it, you know?
I do think there's like one massive advantage that I get where it's like people just think that like this is okay because I'm Australian or something like that, you know? Like it's actually unbelievable how much I get away with from like a social standpoint, just because of this like nonsensical excuse that it's like, oh, he's Australian, don't worry about it, you know? Like this is just normal over there, forget about it. It's like, I feel like Gumba said on the podcast the other day, it's like, yeah, I can be racist, I'm Australian.
Or just like have some racial buff, like that you can say whatever the fuck you want, and you don't get anything for it. Like if I say the half shit you say, I'm just done. I will never be seen again. Like, I swear to God.
Because genuinely, there's an Australian shroud of acceptance here. It's like I remember, like I joined the league and I did the exact same thing that you're describing. It's like no one gave a shit, dude. Like it was just like, you know, play on, Australian. You know, funny Australian guy talking shit. Some guy from the UK does it, and it's like fuck you. If you don't respect your opponents, you won't coach. Like,
yeah. So I guess in NA, I feel like NA is like such a fucking boring region, to be honest with you. No offense, because I feel like I know who's going to win it, but is there like now like an actual dogfight? Like M80 look like every time I watch M80, I'm like, fucking hell, this team is on the ropes.
It's unbelievable they fucking won. Which is crazy to say right now. They were playing Pirates in Pajamas, a team you would expect, a team that has Pelican and Happy, and just a variety of other Overwatch League players, to get over the line against Pirates in Pajamas, not to need some kind of like miracle Pelican clutch in overtime on the 5th map to get them over the line, you know? Like, Pirates had to fumble. I mean, to be fair, Pirates love fucking fumbling a map 5, but if it wasn't for that, M80 wouldn't even be out of groups right now.
M80 was legit 3% of a Magic 8 Ball beat away from just losing, you know? Like, if Pelican doesn't just ascend when the clutch is required, they genuinely don't have a hope, you know? Like, Anian was about to knock Pelican into lowers. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane.
The thing is with M80 is, like, there is this, like, promised land in a few weeks, right? When they get off
next week.
This week,
it's
15th.
They're already they're probably in Canada as we speak.
But you remember when we spoke to
Canada?
9K?
Did they not go to Toronto?
I'm sorry to interrupt your point, Chris, but the M80 travel thing, it's actually been cracking me up, you know, because it's like I was hearing all this crap last stage, you know, about how like they were going to get their team out to Toronto, right? Like they're going to go somewhere really nice, like somewhere really appealing. They're going to get their whole team out to Toronto, you know, and then suddenly it changes. They're going to get their Koreans out to Toronto, you know, and then the Koreans can come in stage 2. And then finally, out of nowhere, the travel has finally occurred, you know. Pelican, I see him on a flight, and I message him and ask him, where are you going? And the guy says, Carolina. It's like, imagine the cataclysmic downgrade where it's like, you think you're going to go to Toronto, this like multicultural, like awesome city with like lots going on, really nice. Nah, brother, you're going to fucking North Carolina. Like, pack your shit. You're going to the middle of nowhere. Like nobody.
That's America too, right? Not Canada?
Yes, yeah, it's a US as well. So I don't even understand because I thought Canada was supposed to be easier for visas. But I guess the thing is Toronto is actually expensive, whereas, you know, you have to pay people to go to Carolina. So they've probably negotiated something with the local state government.
Yeah.
Could be Esther season, you know what I mean?
probably is Esther season. So if any of you want to, actually, no, I won't say that.
I got it.
cut that. Honestly, M80 don't need any further adversity to try and prevent them doing well in this tournament. They've got this that pretty much locked up by themselves.
You remember when we had 9K on and he spoke about this idea of like they were losing every scrim on ping, and there was like this idea that like, oh, when we get to America, everything's going to go well, and they were just like, the confidence was just so fucked. I actually think that even when M80 gets on, like the Koreans get on low ping, I think this team is still so many miles behind Toronto. Like, I actually think like the level that they're at right now, and like the way that every fucking match turns into a dogfight, I don't think that there is like a miracle turnaround. Like, they look so far off it.
These aren't ping problems either, right? Because Pelican's still fucking the best player in the lobby by a mile. He's still hard carrying them. So he might carry. Yeah,
it's like, does it look like Happy and Pelly are anchoring?
Yeah.
Because that would be the issue, right? Like if it's the problem of their high ping Koreans, like they wouldn't be the ones that are still carrying the game.
I think, like, to be fair, maybe Happy had like a quieter series in this one compared to maybe some of the scrims we've seen. But like, I don't know, Pelican was still the guy. And I just worry that all their problems are actually just more like how they play, how they understand the maps, the way they move around the maps, for specific souls they have for certain points. Just don't seem anywhere near the level of, like, I guess the other, what would you call it? The big four? the other, like, the Luminosity.
The shooting target calling.
Because then that doesn't solve anything by getting these guys over, because Pelican and Happy aren't going to be the guys calling all the fucking macro. And even if they were, they could do that on ping or off ping.
Pelly does a lot of that, to be honest. Like, he actually does heaps of that. So, you know, on or off ping. He's just a hard carry in like every sense all the time.
Yeah, but I really worry for them that they're not going to make the top three
possible,
now.
Right? It's possible. It was really, really possible.
Because they gave up all their points, right? Like they've just
because they lost Lep and Renko. Well, I guess more importantly, Lep, right?
Dude, if we can knock M80 down and sneak a land spot by M80 just like gambling on their points and failing on the gamble, that would be so fucking awesome, dude.
The bracket for NA is Toronto versus Timeless in the first round too, right? Like, actually, your win against them was like an unbelievable like buff to your chances, because you must play against.
Yeah, because we go actual, like, I shouldn't say actual come low opponents, because like I'll say that and then we'll lose. But we go against like actual come low opponents, and then we play M80 versus Chungus Life winner, you know? And I'm not going to say that I have like 100% confidence that we will just absolutely demolish fuck my Chungus Life or whatever. But, you know, they did go 0-3 to Sons of the Game. And like, I think that we're better in like Orisa Mirror than Sons of the Game. So overall, like, I feel like we actually have a really good chance. In stage one, we looked a little bit weak because it was like, we were playing some Orisa Mirrors and we were losing a little bit. But we never really put like max time into it because I was too busy like completely trolling my team, making us play Zarya and stuff like that. But once we've just like played more and more of the Orisa Mirror and like put more time into the matchup, it started to feel like, oh, we might actually be quite a strong team on this comp in NA, you know, to the point that it's like, oh shit, Timeless came second on this matchup and we just beat them. Like, and I mean, it was a map 5 win, so it's a bit silly for me to say quite comfortably. But like, if you watch that series back, like I'd say that we beat Timeless quite comfortably in the mirror. So M80,
winnable.
Yeah, imagine. All we need to do is just, you know, we need to make a call to the visa office, you know, in North America.
Joe Biden, get him on the phone.
Yeah, hello.
We're going to have him on the podcast next week. No, Joe Biden, I think, is he our guest for next week? So we can maybe let them know then. So
is there any?
Like,
I'll go on.
Like NA, I don't know. It looks really open. Like, who does anyone know how the loser bracket works? The loser of Toronto Timeless, which game? Because if they're paired with the loser of M80 and Chungus Live, then there's actually a chance that Timeless like go top 8 or like some like decent teams like get knocked out really early, right? That you could actually have like a loser bracket of like M80 versus fucking Timeless quite soon. But I don't know how.
My suspicion is I think Chungus might actually just be quite bad, even though their roster is quite good. Because they kind of just got like rolled by Students of the Game. That matchup wasn't very close. Like whether they did the dive matchup, they did the Orisa match. It's like it all felt super, super one-sided in favor of Students of the Game. So I worry that, I don't know, everything Seeker touches just sort of falls to What's the opposite of turns to gold? Turns to shit?
Yeah. What's the deal with that, man? Because I could have sworn, Seeker was supposed to be the promised one, and then it's just like kind of just going like failure into failure now.
I don't know, because he had like a pretty quiet series. I think PGE did have a better of it, but I don't know.
That's not what you want to be hearing. Like you don't want to be hearing that Seeker got gapped by PGE. You know what I mean? Like that can't be happening if you're supposed to be next up on the hit scan roll. Like you're supposed to be NA's hope, like on the low. You know, he's like, in discussions for Toronto. You know, like if it wasn't going to be Merit on there, you know, like it would have been him or something like that. You know, to avoid the import slots, and then he's getting gapped by PGE. Is that really what's going on here?
Seems
If that's the case, that's a fall off that needs to be studied. But I mean, I've been paying too close attention, and I think we've had like one fuck my Chungus live scrim, and I slept through it because I'm lazy. You know, like I don't have a strong opinion here. I don't have a lot of skin in the game.
I mean, to be fair, this is the only match I saw, so there's like a weird thing where when you can't quite tell if like students of a game are actually like quite good this stage, or if fuck my Chungus life are just not very good, and therefore both of these teams might not be that good. I don't know. I feel like
they're pretty good. They're pretty good, to be honest. Like especially for like this Orisa comp stuff. Like that's kind of like their bread and butter. But like I don't know, these power rankings, I feel like everyone has wound up in this like amalgamation of like mid when the Orisa meta has come in. Like everyone has been losing to everyone. Like even last stage, like Toronto, I mean, Timeless came second, right? But they were in like an absolute dogfight map 5 barn burner with like Citrus or something, where like they just won a Shambolian overtime on first point. Oh yeah, Pip, that might have been it too. But it's just like every time this Orisa comp comes out, it feels like NA gets intensely equalized, Like there were like these allegedly clear power rankings before when tanks were like swap gaming a little bit more and you could really like see a bit more of the skill expression. But once it comes down to this mirror, I feel like everyone has been equalized really heavily. Maybe that's spreading back out again, given it's a 3-0, but and the other thing about like Ariel, maybe his biggest strength is the fact that he is like mad flexible. Like when it was a swap gaming meta, like that guy had the edge on pretty much everyone in NA low key. To be honest, like he's actually really 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 flexible. Plays like pretty much all of the tanks to a reasonable level. But if he's just stuck on one thing, I feel like that takes away like a big part of his skill expression.
Well, he played just an Orisa mirror and then on Parisia just a Winston mirror, essentially. Yeah. Which probably actually leads into Infected's pool quite nicely as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd probably not want the off tank on Winston,
Yeah.
Unless it's Tread.
Or Dante.
True.
But yeah, I don't know.
Just not on the Gladiators.
See, I don't know really. I'm not convinced. I'm a bit disappointed for Chungus because obviously it's Wamone's team as well. So I was expecting Wamone to start, but he doesn't. And I was expecting them to like Wamone Seeker to me, or even like Wamone Seeker Zero. I think sounds like a really good DPS line, but it's really just not translated into anything, at least so far.
Should we talk a little bit about EU then, since we have a guest who plays in EU? Like, what's your feelings of like power rankings and stuff? Like, you guys feel like you have like a good chance to win it all right now?
Well, you can say like NA is boring, but like EU is pretty boring too, in the sense like we have the top 3 dogs. Like it's ENCE, TM, SSG. Like I like the EXO boys and like everyone else below, but like I don't think they will be like trading blows in the top 3. But right now I think it's actually pretty interesting because like SSG, like they've been on a hot streak. Like I'll give you a little bit of credit there, Chris. You've been doing a good job there.
Thank you.
But yeah, they're looking pretty hot right now. But like as you said, like I feel like the Orisa meta, and it's so weird. Like sometimes you can just win by doing air. So it's kind of a bit of an equalizer. So, and the same thing with like TM. I have no idea how they're doing right now. I feel like this meta doesn't suit them that well, maybe. And they're like, because they're like really rush-based team. Like now that especially we have Chase. Like I'm not that worried about them. So I think like the team to beat this cycle is definitely SSG.
Yeah, my feeling is that like the TM we've seen over the last 2 weeks is the weakest TM have been in years.
Yeah.
In terms of they've had the roster changes, they look like a little bit like mentally like boomed. Like again, like the comments when you guys played them. I mean, the thing that like the worrying thing is like this is like I think in theory the weakest TM we've had that doesn't have a good patch or a good read, and they still destroyed everyone that wasn't in the big 3, right? Like they still played EXO and it was pretty comfortable. So I think that probably cements your point. Hopefully that the big 3 will be the big 3. I think, I don't know. Like, I think TM, this map pool for them is like especially difficult. Like, I think especially if teams like SSG and ENCE do have like a dive in their pocket. Like, I think like the map draft gets really, really, really easy. But it feels like what like the comps that like TM were trying was like a lot of like the Symmetra stuff, like still quite a lot of like Mauga stuff. It feels like they are maybe like struggling to find like a real groove in this meta. And then maybe like the problem is I look at this patch and I say, well, like maybe the only good thing for TM is like a Tracer nerf, because maybe it means that if you're wanting to play like a Sim or a Mei or like one of these like non-Tracer heroes, that maybe that like becomes like a touch more valuable. But it doesn't feel like Dive got a significant nerf. If Bold does become very strong against these comps, then that looks really difficult for TM. So it feels like they're gonna have to like kind of like figure out what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I have to say, I feel like they're still just going to be in the top 3 because like the player quality and their ability to perform on a match day is just really rock solid compared to a lot of other teams. But I think there's almost like it's just between SSG and ENCE this time around, like stage 2.
You know, you say this, but I feel like you can never count out a team like Twisted in the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, like they're like they get buff in matches. Like I swear they do like some enhancing like drugs before the game. Just, like, they just, like shoot 10% more in match days than they do in scrims.
Yeah, no, it's like you're saying that it's like the worst they've looked in scrims in a long time, but it's like that team is capable of losing to anyone in scrims, bro. Like I swear their scrims are like even when their scrims are a serious environment, you know, it's like they're trying in the scrims. There's just something like mentally blocked with those guys, you know, like even when they're trying to improve in the practice environment, it's just so different to their match day performances, you know, like genuinely they do not have God on their side until match day comes. But when match day arrives, there is divine intervention taking place with karma. So like, you're doing the wrong religious symbols. You know? So it's okay. So it's like I would literally never ever count Twisted Minds out, to be honest. Like no matter how dodgy the meta looks for them, I would always have faith for them to put up like a very intimidating match day performance, you know, like people were like 100% convinced that they like were not the best team for stage 1, you know, and then they just they kind of like low-key clapped the final, no? Like wasn't it like 4-1 or something like that? So I think even if the meta is like obviously looking worse for them, you know, I think they've just got something, you know. That's something being insane, fucking like genuinely fucking insane talent and team play on match day. So, you know, they definitely have something going for them. It's just a question of whether the Overwatch League teams, you know, slowly grinding it out, you know, your ENCEs and your SSGs, whether they're going to like increase the size of that gap over time as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can calm down. Like, you'll be getting to Saudi Arabia. Like, you don't need to like suck them up so much. You're fine, brother. You're fine.
I'm not even looking for the Saudi job. You know, like I'm on an American team, so it's like this glazing is like this comes from the heart. You know,
authentic glazing.
Yeah, no, genuinely, this is like Div 1 honest glaze, where it's like I actually, you know, love them or hate them. You know, I do have to respect those guys. Like they're actually quite good. Even if they think Gum is a fucking dog. You know, there might be some truth to that. You know,
I mean, yeah, it's like to sprinkle in there.
Yeah.
Do we have any
weather?
Do we have any thoughts on the group stage itself? Because we talked last time about like how the fact that it's going over 2 weeks. It's just a very long time. Even this first week, there were some good games, but there was also some very boring games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a group stage hater, I think. I think like last week of group stages was okay. We got some decent games, but like this weekend, like does anyone know who's fucking playing? Like I think there's like an EXO Super Shy game which like has potential to be interesting, but maybe that's because I'm invested in EXO's downfall more than the average person. But I don't know. Like I don't know. I feel like this week I'm not even going to watch the fucking games. You know, like bar 1 or 2.
But do you think like the average viewer might? You know, maybe you, a comp head, invested in, you know, the big, you're invested in like the big 3, trying to see the downfall of team number 4, like, you know, desperately trying to see EXO crumble. But like beyond that, like what do you ever care about these teams? Like you kind of push yourself forward as this like Swiss head, you know, all about the equality. But honestly, I think if they could have made this group stage the same length, but kept Schmungus in for another week, it would have been better for the scene. You know what I mean? Because like that's what people really want to see, you know? Like I want to see Mickey Mouse 317 in the chat asking why ML7 isn't playing Anna. You know what I mean? Like But, yeah.
See, SK been another full-time Lucio player.
No, that 1v1, it was actually like the realization that Daniel is definitively washed, you know? Like he is just arse.
Well, Sobek got added to the list as well. Sobek's out as well. His career is over. He's literally just dead in a street outside in the UK somewhere.
I mean, so she can't stop putting these guys in a coffin.
Yeah, she's
scalping the entire fucking scene on pin, no less.
I'm actually scared. Like, she's coming for me next. Like,
you don't want to see him in Swiss, like Artsmungus. No.
It's like you're gonna have to take the ego duel in Spawn and Oasis, and you are gonna fucking lose it.
Yeah.
Ghost, you got to play this one, mate. Ghost, you're in. Ghost, get in there.
Yeah, but then when the duel happens, you won't know what's happening because Ghost will have his mouth zipped shut.
Do you know, one thing I did realize is that if Peps had beaten ENCE versus SSG wouldn't have been on broadcast due to the current format. And what I also think that means is Toronto versus Timeless isn't on broadcast for their NA in the playoffs, you know? Because remember the first day, or was like maybe
they pick.
Oh, so they will pick that one game, right? But the rest of them won't be. Yeah. Look at that, and like that's the reason why this like second week of groups needs to be fucking slimmed down. Because
same with lower bracket, you only get one of the two lower bracket games as well. So someone will get eliminated basically without being on broadcast.
Yeah,
because I think that happened to the old Rock roster. Is they had like a big like their full collapse was completely undocumented on the official broadcast.
So,
Is there a weird argument that maybe it does work out better because of the patch changes always at this time?
Well, for us, and I'm guessing the same for you, Master, it's really nice, right? Like we get like 2 weeks on the patch, we're scrimming this entire weekend and we don't have to play games and blah, blah, blah. Feels like for us, like the timing of the patch and everything feels like I'm quite glad that games aren't this weekend. But I just look at it and, you know, everyone loves the Swiss. Like everyone fucking loves the Swiss. Like from day one, everyone's in on the Swiss. And then I think last week of groups is quite fun. And I just worry that like any hype that we had, like viewership has to fall off this week compared to last week, right? Like I can't be fucking, regardless of the smungus factor, I have to be right here. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I do think you're like overstating. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like part of the problem is because it's like groups is top 16. There's going to be an unavoidable massive skill disparity between team 1 to 4 and team 12 to 16. So invariably, you're just going to get like these huge mismatches. You know, like if I look at Toronto's fucking group, it's impossible for this group to be interesting, right? In terms of like it's Toronto, Dilducks, who is Goldfish, and Visored. Like there's just not the density.
Might be who we're versing in round one. Like they're going to make it through groups, you know.
Yeah, well, it's Dilducks versus who is Goldfish for that top 8 spot against Luminosity. But it just feels like
who's won those.
We
teams?
are in the golden age of Overwatch now that you think about it. We really are. This is better than Overwatch League.
Dilducks, they got Baz on tank and a lot of Canadians. Frothy Philly 7 is probably the most notable, most memorable name. And then who is Goldfish has Goldfish on it, of course. Azraf, Biz, Dust.
Yeah, this is fucked. These rosters are insane. I was actually thinking, like, you know, I need to make really sure that False gets 2 maps so that he gets circa points, you know? Because right now Dante is just like playing a lot, and I was thinking, like, where in the main event can I make absolutely sure that False gets his 2 maps, you know? And it's like, obviously what I'm saying here, it's like a setup for when we get clapped out by Dilducks. But I think I've actually found the match where False can get his 2 maps safely and with low consequence. Because, geez. They have a large bagel on their team on Dilducks. Like, do you know that guy?
I don't.
Oh,
it just says bagel on Wikipedia.
Our scene's cooked, bro.
But I don't know how, like, because what's the alternative then? Because then if main event started this week, would we not run into problems that there was a patch 3 days before main event? So we're just like, we're fucked in both directions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I guess like it depends on how much like Blizzard or like the esports team factored in the patches when making this format. Like my feeling is that can't have been a.
It's like two separate departments making two
I think we
separate
learned
decisions.
by now that they don't talk to each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a thing for like the past 8 years. So like,
what did you guys think about Venture not being allowed to be played in OWCS?
that's actually kind of sad. Like, it would have been so nice to see like, oh yeah, or someone like pull up with that and actually like do an upset. It would have been actually fun to see that hero.
Hold up a second there, because all I'm seeing are pros complaining about how this is like a Kappa patch, right? But I'm so sure that if it went in the other direction, right? If they introduced Venture, I am so sure that pros would be complaining about the opposite. You know, people are like, oh my God, this mid-event patch hasn't changed anything. Where? And then if they get a mid-event patch which actually changes something, oh, this changes everything. I'm Chris Tieffer, and we put all of our practice time into Malga, and now we lost to Chase Torch on dive. You know, like you can't fucking appease these pros. Like no matter what, they're just gonna sook. You know, I wanted to play Venture. Oh, Venture's too much of an upset to the meta. Fuck you all. Like you'll never be happy about anything. Like it's just impossible.
I mean, you're actually fucking based. And true. I mean, for what it's worth, I literally never, like, I complained the fact that the patch fucked us, but I never once said that it shouldn't have been there, you know? Like, I accepted that's the reality. I was just salty because it fucked my team. Just want that to be known. Like, two separate things. Like, there's been upset that you're lost or calling for a change of the rules, like maybe another team would do. I don't know, like, anything like that. But yeah, no, it felt kind of like, I didn't hate it, but I was also a little bit like, everything else we've done in OWCS has been, what's on live is what you fucking play on immediately. And I guess like Venture is like the first timing where there is like a slight option for like the esports department, because the esports department can't make a PTR server. So even if they wanted to play on last patch, they literally can't, you know, like there's no, visitors like, this is the only thing that you can fucking play on is live. But it did feel like a little bit, I was like, especially when like Venture was going to be playable in ranked, I thought for sure they're just going to be like enabled in OWCS 2. I was a little bit surprised when they weren't.
Well, I feel like if they're going to be willing to just drop patches, and that's kind of, I think everyone's sort of just at the point of acceptance that the patches are now just going to come whenever Blizzard wants them to come, and the teams will just be forced to adapt. So at that point, well, fuck it, you might as well put Venture in. Let's at least like, because surely that's like a big headline thing to happen. If this is the first major tournament, the Heroes only just out, let's go see what the best teams in the world or the best players are doing with Venture. How does it work? Does it fit the meta? Is it a niche pick somewhere? Why not? If you're already going to, like, I don't know, like, affect competitive integrity by doing these, like, patch changes partway through a tournament, you might as well put the full thing in and at least get, like, the... Presumably there will be a gain in viewership from putting Venture in theory, right?
Maybe they say
if you market it as well.
Maybe that's, like, slightly intentional. That, like, DreamHack Dallas will be the first event with Venture in pro play. But who knows?
Is Venture actually good right now?
I know. I felt off, like, we did what was it against you, Masaa? We did the one.
I think
scrim.
It was, yeah.
I felt like for the first time people were ever putting their hands on Venture, I thought, okay, like this hero is actually going to be like super OP. But then nerfed from that state, right? Like I think the one shot combo is harder to do. So I got a feeling they're going to be pretty strong actually. Like I'm pretty Venture pilled generally speaking. But it's pure guesswork.
Yeah, I mean, Defran's doing it unranked to top 500 with 10k viewers playing Venture right now, so I might have to tune into that. You know, see what it's all about.
Yeah,
because like during the like pre-release, you know, it was kind of hard to like see quality Venture gameplay. You know, it's just like people playing quick play and just like absolutely fucking dominating their lobbies because it's quick play. So it's a little difficult to get a read on it. But you know, I hope the heroes can't are busted. I like the idea that
they always are. To be fair,
yeah,
9 times out of 10 they always fucking are. Lifeweaver was just an exception, otherwise flawless rate of busted heroes immediately.
The problem to me is that like they make the new heroes busted, but then it feels like they're really bad at like tuning it back to the point, you know, like understanding why the hero is busted and then like tuning it back to the point that it's actually like in line with everything else, you know. I think new heroes should be a little broken so that, you know, people can like learn them and actually still have impact on them, and then they get play at the start, you know. But then they need to be tuned back to like the same level as everything else, and that's what like doesn't happen. Because the way that they make things busted is by giving them everything. Like they just give them so much of the kit, and then they're never going to remove an element of the kit, you know? Like,
yeah,
they're gonna, if they were to remove Suzu from Kiriko or something, or change the headshot thing, you know, they'd call it a full rework. Even if they're like doing something minor, like they'd call it a full rework. And reworks happen once every 3 years, and you know the hero still stays dog shit. You know, it's like they rework Hog, and he still feels exactly the same to play into. It's like we got rid of Roadhog's one-shot combo. He still hooks you in and does the exact same thing as before. No, like, am I tripping? Am I insane? Like, they reworked Roadhog. Did they change?
He just made him harder to fucking kill, more annoying to play against.
What they're eventually going to do is they're going to be like, you know what? When you take a breather, you lose the ability to walk. You know, like they're just going to go back to like some Overwatch 1 patch note from ages ago. Because like that's what they've been doing with like Soldier's Balance for like 10 years now. You know, it's like we added 1 bullet to the pulse rifle. I mean, we added 1 damage per shot to the pulse rifle. We removed 1 damage per shot to the pulse rifle over and over and over again. Like those are the only meaningful changes that they can make to the hero because he's so simple. And eventually, like with Roadhog, like all they can ever do is like we added his one-shot combo, we removed his one-shot combo. You can walk while you're healing. You can't walk while you're healing. Your heal is a resource. Your heal is an ability. You know, like it's still the same fucking hero from like the outside looking in. Like
you could wrap it up. Maybe he could jog while he's healing. If he got faster while he healed.
Yeah. No, what he needs to do is what they're doing like a lot of this now is heroes get invisible circles that buff their allies. We lost Pete. You know, Pete's completely gone. But yeah.
First phone call on Uncoachable.
Oh yeah, no, actually, let's see if we can crank it up and get some audio out of him. You know, maybe read his lips. It looks like he is receiving terrible news.
Imagine it was, dude.
As it turns out, this is just the average Finn taking a phone call from his friend.
No, I just got the weirdest call. It's like, do you have the filter I need? I'm like, that might be a wrong number. Because I'm expecting a package like UPS package, and I just get a call like he sounds like Estonian. He's like, you have the filter, bro? I might be in the middle of a drug trade or something. So if I go visit him, like,
you got the filter?
Go for the Estonians, like, go for the Admiral, like, he's on to something.
No, the new dev philosophy for heroes is give everyone an invisible circle that affects your allies, you know? Like, Junker Queen has an invisible circle in the form of a shout. Now Wrecking Ball has an invisible circle in the form of, you know, his slam. Lucio is perma-broken because he has an invisible circle. Baptiste has a visible circle that's broken and an invisible circle that's broken. So, like, to be honest, at the end of the day, like, every hero that's broken just about has an invisible circle that affects your allies in one way or another, you know?
That's what I said on the Jake episode when I was talking about tanks, and I was saying, oh, they can't do CC and shields, and they just like figured out, what if we do a shout for Queen? And they're like, we'll just copy and paste that into all tanks.
An invisible shield, essentially.
Way of, like, balancing it. We found something, you know? And then eventually Reddit's going to turn on the shout concept. Being shouted is unfun. There was no counterplay. It's just going to be fucking removed, and then we're back to square one where tanks just do DPS and can't die.
We need more shields. That's what we need, you know?
True. Legit.
Imagine if they took away all of Orisa, because I see people complaining about armor right now, you know? People are like, Orisa's so annoying because she has so much armor, you know? Like, too much armor is just a little bit too difficult to kill. We take away some of Orisa's armor. We're going to give her a shield that she can place down in front of her, like a stationary shield, you know? You can shoot it out. But then that doesn't really fit with the spear concept anymore. So we're going to change the spear to some sort of like circular thing that you can shoot out, which is like a visible circle. And it's going to like pull people in slightly, you know? I mean, that's where the game is at, you know? Like, the devs that are working on it now, I feel like they're not the devs that were working on Overwatch 1. So it's like they can actually just bring concepts back from the old game, and they think, like, this is a great idea. I saw this in League of Legends or something. And it's like, first time, buddy.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, because as this new patch came out, what's also come from a lot of teams is a stop to streaming scrims as well.
I would love to pay someone out for that. I'm going to grab a drink and then I'll fucking flame Casares.
So, yeah, at least, I'm not sure for EU. Christopher, did you tell your team to stop streaming scrims?
Nope, never. We are streaming our scrim against you guys today. Like, for us, okay, so I see a few comments about it. For us, we have literally never once said to a team, you can't stream our scrims. Like, so X gets in all of our streams. Like, if you want to stream it, like when we scrim you guys always stream it, right? But I think our players over time didn't enjoy it as much. I think, to be honest, I've seen the same a little bit with you guys too. Like, one thing that I felt was like Vestola was like streaming all of his scrims, and then when he started to struggle a little bit more and you guys were struggling, like, to be honest, to stream scrims while losing is actually really
it's like streaming is fun when you're winning, when you're stomping people. That's always so good. It's so fun.
Yeah, it was the same for us. on this, like at the start of the patch, we were dominating everyone, and then we went through like a really like difficult phase where we were losing a lot to you guys, and like even EXO and stuff were beating us in scrims like semi-regularly. And it's like, fuck, like the additional pressure, like it is actually so much harder to stream. Like we can talk about the teams, but like I wanted to like talk to you a little bit. Like one thing that I felt like when I made this push to stream scrims, like what I felt was that the idea somewhere was to get like the average viewer interested in competitive, because they could like feel the environment and they could watch it. And there was the same reason why I love the Swiss, because I love doing it from like people's POVs, you know? And what I felt, and this is what Astro told me, and you can tell me if this is the same for you. If you stream with comms, you get like a 50% viewer increase. So if you were like on like 300 viewers, you get like 400, 500. But if you stream scrims without any comms, it's actually less than if you were playing ranked. That's what Astro says. So he actually says it's less effective. People have less of an interest in watching scrims with everything muted. And actually, I feel like originally I was like, when everybody started to stream without comms, I thought, actually, this is a good middle ground, right? Like the players can still have fun and they can still talk and they don't have to worry about like anything getting out. They can rage and they can tilt, and like there isn't this like eyes on them, but we still like we can still get to stream our scrims. But actually, the more I look at it, the more I actually think that there actually isn't a significant middle ground here. Like maybe the only middle ground is when X does it from overhead, because then we get to see the scrims and people get to watch it. But actually, the more I think about it, the more I think actually, if you want to stream scrims, you either have to do it with full comms, so like random people that don't like follow your team specifically, just enjoy like the content. Yeah. Because when you stream without scrims, your viewer list is probably just EU or OWCS. You know, it's just people like me watching your scrims to see how you're doing or what comps you're playing. But I feel like it's actually not that entertaining if it's a full fucking mute like gameplay, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I watched Dante's stream. Well, obviously I don't watch it, I'm in them, but in the scrims. But like he streams a lot of our scrims. He streams a lot of our scrims with the comms off, you know? Like every now and then he'll turn the comms on, but it's like everyone hates it so much, you know? It's like it definitely like limits how people talk to one another and stuff like that, having the comms on. It's not just about your capacity to slam certain words over and over and over again. But you know, like you just feel like less comfortable speaking freely about anything, you know? Like say you want to like, from my perspective, sometimes I want to talk about like how I want us to approach like our basically like our map draft or something to do with our comps, or like how we're trying to take advantage of the enemy team in one way or another, you know? And it's like, you feel a little bit less comfortable talking about that when you know that it's on stream. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is my whole fucking job is to be there and like try and say something remotely useful. And it's like most of the time it's a swing and a miss, like be fucking for real. But like sometimes I would like to say something and it's like, Dante's streaming and I have to say like, wait, can you mute Mike for a second so I can talk about this? Because it's like, I don't want to reveal what my perception of our weakness is to everyone, or what my perception of what the enemy's weakness is or whatever, because it's like, you know, you don't want to give anything away for free, and streaming comms does that. But it's like Dante streams so much with no comms, and it's like I swear he's killing his stream doing it, because it's like he has so few viewers when he's streaming with no comms.
I think the content is actually dog shit to like the average viewer without comms. Like Astro, when we were streaming OWCS with comms, he was getting like 1,000 views. Like it was like people like love that. Like, and I don't know. And I think that like I can see why, right? Like it's the same. Like if any team in OWCS had comms on, I was always listening to it over like a team that was muted. Like, but it's such a tough balance, because we're the same. Like we like will mute between like maps a little bit to talk about like draft or to that comp, and then turn it back on, which is like okay. But like in scrims, that's also really annoying to have to like alt tab to mute and then unmute. And then I do think, especially if you start to lose heavily, keeping the comms in the stream on is actually such a difficult task. Like it requires us to be like super all in on this like concept of this is how we grow the game for it to ever be viable.
Well, because I think even your original pitch when you were talking about why you were interested in this did involve people like Cran, right? And it was because you could hear everything. And like, but I think with like maybe some of like the real world examples, like people might know the all or nothing that they do for like NFL and like football, where they do a documentary series that follows the football team for the entire season. But because they're there for like literally 9 months and all the cameras are just in the corner of a room, you know, and there's much less like, you're not obviously on camera every moment, it's not live. There's a chance for it to be edited and produced, and the club has to sign off on anything that gets published. There's a level of protection there, or a level of like separation between being on camera and it actually being shown on TV, which obviously doesn't happen with this.
Did you guys see the CSGO example like 2 weeks ago? Did you see it? There was it was Team Falcons in CSGO and they released like a really good behind the scenes documentary. And basically what happened was one of their players, like a fucking classic esports maneuver, felt his aim was shit, so he changed his mouse the day before an official, right? So that's just fucking classic.
That's a classic.
That's what we should always do. And then they filmed the behind the scenes after they lost the game, and every single one on the team was like, why the fuck are you doing this? Come on, man, like you're throwing our fucking game. Like I don't want to not qualify because of this. And the overall reaction was like, yo, you shouldn't show this. Like this is like the team like effectively like ganging up or like berating one player. And they were like, oh yeah, you really, really, really like shouldn't do this. And I think they took the video down and edited that bit out and put it back up because they didn't feel like that. But like that was the bit that was exciting. That was the only bit that I watched and I was like really interested in. But that's this like juxtaposition, you know, where it's like teams really, really want to hide these moments, but these are the moments that people really, really want to see. And I really, really thought perhaps naively that there was a middle ground, but I don't think there is actually. I think it literally is like all or nothing.
Yeah, players are like really scared of like anything like that coming out because it actually can like just, I don't want to say kill their careers, but it can make it so much harder if there's like actual like, for example, the mouse drama, like that's just drama. It's content, it's good content, but there's actually somebody like slips, let's say a little bit of a slur or two. It's like with gamers, it's always a possibility. Like if you're not Australian, you can be just done. You know, not everyone has like the genetic buff.
We did it. I'll say this. We did it on when Astra was streaming, and he did a 3-minute delay on the OWCS, and I didn't realize he was streaming. So the lads were talking. I came in. I said something. I was like, "Yeah, Astra, you need to cut the fucking VOD because this one like isn't good." You know, like there was like jokes which I think are like, okay, let's not fucking. On this podcast, we're all about being fucking truthful here. Every single team behind the scenes saying jokes which you can't say. Like there's not there's not a single team in OWCS. And by the way, there is not a team in football, in any sport. There is not a single conversation at the fucking pub which isn't the same, where there is a conversation somewhere where if it gets recorded and sent into public, which like backfires, like that's the fucking truth, you know? And I think that like I do think that our team environment when we cut the comms was just like it's just like I don't even think it's because like all of a sudden everyone starts fucking slurring, because that's not what happens. But there was just this like we just don't have to think about like what we're saying and the jokes. And if you're with your mates and you make a joke and it goes too far, no one like cares because it's just like you're fucking friends, you know, especially if it's like Australian. But like this, like the second that you say, oh, if people see this and they clip it and it take out of context or whatever, then it can go wrong. So yeah.
Did we talk Toronto while I was grabbing my drink?
We haven't talked about the teams.
Okay, sure. Because with the streaming scrims thing, it's like I think what X does is like such a good middle ground. Surely you've already glazed this a little bit, you know, like done a couple of tricks on it. But like what X does is so it's like, oh, okay, well let me get down on it then. Because like what you do is actually perfect because it provides like really high quality content for people that want to watch the scrims, and it comes at like very, very little expense to the teams. I think the thing that turns most teams off is that if you're not a friend of X, you don't really benefit from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like having a scrim streamed, what's actually in it for them? You know what I mean?
The players get nothing. You shown on live getting your ass beaten by a team, and you just see Axe flaming your whole team. Oh, they're dog shit at the game. Like, what do you get from it? Like nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's
like good content.
But in theory, that's where the Toronto. But that's where the Toronto partnership or something comes into play, right? Then all of a sudden, because then if I use a certain team's branding, then in theory, Toronto are getting something out of it all of a sudden. Obviously, you can still make the same argument for like ENCE SSG, etc., getting out of it. But yeah, I think people like scrims being streamed. It's like not super beneficial to the it hurts. It's not super beneficial to the players if they're not the ones doing the streaming.
Yeah, you're right.
But at the end of the day, people need to kind of recognize that they're playing in this like incredibly dead product where there's just like no eyes on the game whatsoever, you know? And it's like if they were to stream all of their scrims, even with the comms off, even if it's less successful and like less pop off in terms of viewership than just doing a regular stream and playing ranked. It's like you're going to be at the computer playing anyway, you know? I feel like people should be way more comfortable of doing the Dante strat of just like turning on the stream with the comms off if that's, you know, where they want to draw the line. Because like it's just a little bit more eyes on it. But teams like Toronto, you know, we come into this group stage here where it's like new patch, everything's changing. Even if everything isn't changing, it's day one of the patch, right? Like there's no way that if you don't have a match for 2 weeks, you're refusing to stream your scrims on day one because you've got something to hide. It's like, let me tell you, Uncoachable viewers, we scrimmed them today and they said no streaming, which means Dante can't stream the scrim, which is something that he wants to do. You know, Dante wants to make some money when he scrims. So Dante can't stream, X can't stream. You know, we want X to come and watch the scrims, and he has an existing partnership with Toronto. You know, it's like to some extent their organization wants him to come. And then Toronto put their foot down and say, no, we're too close to the main event. We can't do it. Let me tell you something. I don't know what the fuck they're trying to hide. All they did was play ball tracer, all block, all block. It's like they changed their supports around a little bit. It's like, oh, you know, for a couple of seconds, RuPaul's on BAP, for the most part, he's on Kiri. But it's like, bro, they're just playing one comp all the fucking time. If you've ever watched a Toronto block before, that's all they ever do. All they ever do is just play one comp for the whole block. It's like, oh, we're losing on Winston Echo Tracer. Maybe if we play 5 more maps of Winston Echo Tracer, something will change, you know? Like they're in it for the learning experience. And if that's how they're going to approach the scrims, everyone in the entire scene is going to know what they're playing on any given day anyway, because it's such like a small bit of information. Everyone is going to hear it, you know? It's like, oh, what was Toronto up today? Winston and a Brig day, you know? Like it's that easy. Same thing for like today. Oh, what was Toronto up today? Oh, they just forced ball fucking everywhere. What are you hiding? Like, I don't get it.
And it is pretty much given at that, like, everyone just leaks codes. Like, it's been like that for the past 4 years. So, like, as soon as you end up screaming, you just, like, know that everything you've done is just out there. It's just, like, free real estate. So, just fucking might as well, like, especially if it's patched. Like, I kind of understand their point that they, like, at least have a, like, saying, like, maybe Cass is pulling, like, some strings that he doesn't want to show their, like, the good stuff. So
what good stuff?
I mean, you're underestimated the Cazares. Like, come on, bro. I know you beef with him, but like,
no, dude. It's like it's actually crazy to me because it's like I even doubled down. You know, it's like he said like, no, you can't stream the scrims, and I came back to him afterwards and I was like, dude, Dante, he always streams scrims. We really want to stream this. It's day one of the patch. If it's going to be experimental stuff, it's not going to have a bearing come match day, you know? Sure. So like really, like what do we have to hide? And neither of us are playing in groups next week because we're both top seeds, right? So we're just going to skip right through the bracket. So really like, I feel like we have nothing to lose here. And then Casares gets back to me saying, I think that the direction for the patch is super obvious, you know? Like what's coming next is super obvious. I guess he thinks ball is just the most broken pick.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe he sees something that you don't. Like he's just 2 steps ahead.
How to fucking lose like every map to Luminosity in a scrim playing ball. Like that's the 4-dimensional chess move. It's like, come on, bro.
It's
like,
obvious.
I mean, it's like nobody knows, you know? And it's like, I feel like hiding that discovery, acting like, you know, you're the only team that's figuring things out on day one or something. It's like you're giving the enemy team like a 0.001% advantage by streaming your day one like scrims. It's such nonsense. But, you know, they want to act like every single one of these scrims, they're finding strategic gold. But with the way that team practices specifically, it's like they're the opposite of finding strategic gold because they play entire blocks of the same comp. Like they don't do the experimentation.
Like from what I seen, I think that like the difference of how teams looked at it from stage 1 to stage 2, like it got worse, you know? Like I think this time last in stage 1, I think it was only that final week where they said no one streamed anything, right?
Yeah.
Whereas it's happened a week earlier this time. I felt in stage 2 in EU, I think I'm right in thinking that Peps said no streams pretty much the entire time. I think EXO said no streams. I'm sure someone told me that EXO were against streaming scrims this stage compared to stage 1. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I've spread misinformation about EXO. But
yeah, I think EXO actually allowed. You're just a hater.
Okay, I'm sure someone told me that like they said like for one, I don't know, maybe it is, but I'm sure there was like more teams in the EU this time round than last time that didn't want their streams to be scrimmed earlier. And it feels like the same happened in NA where like I think like Timeless and M80 like were the first to say no streaming like earlier this time than last time, you know. Now I feel like that trend is just going to continue until eventually we just get back to no one stream any scrims. I think like one big thing that like feels really, really annoying in Europe is that like TM are so unbelievably just like, and it's just really unfair, you know, like the problem is with TM is because they're this like Saudi Arabian org that just gets like infinite fucking money glitch. They feel no sense of like having to grow this community. Do you know what I mean? They're just like, fuck it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like I get my bag, I'll be fine. So for them, they're quite happy to do something which like only benefits them and like maybe detriments like the scene as a whole. And one thing that always felt really annoying, because I think we'll stream our scrim today, Masaa, but it feels really annoying sometimes that like everything that we were doing was on broadcast in one way or another, and everything that they were doing was never. And it's like, fuck, like it's really annoying that these guys get like some sort of advantage, whereas it felt like if there was like a sense of community, like in NA, at least originally, it felt like Toronto would stream every one of their scrims versus all the teams, so like everyone could kind of figure out what each other was playing. But like that's what always going to happen is like the second like TM, especially because TM won by not streaming scrims, every other team is just going to kind of like follow down that route eventually, I think.
I was speaking to one of the thought leaders really in the Overwatch scene right now in Sauna, and I was asking him if if I could stream the Ataraxia scrim on Friday versus SSG. And originally Ataraxia said no. And then Sauna said, should I just lie to my team and tell them SSG are going to cancel? You're throwing
him under the bus, bro.
Well, no, but he didn't actually do this, so it's not throwing him under the bus, right? So he didn't actually do that, but he talked to the team and eventually Ataraxia agreed of their own volition, not through some veiled threat by SSG. But he said, this is what SSG and ENCE should do. They should just refuse to scrim anyone who doesn't allow streaming, and then you bully the region. Because does anyone really want to lose out, especially if you guys partner? Can any team in EU, even Twisted Minds, afford not to have scrims against SSG and ENCE?
Yeah, but the problem becomes because we have very limited like scrim partners we want to play against. Like we have SSD, TM, and then like a couple of NA teams that we actually want to play against and scrim because they're like the productive scrims. Like we only really want to play against like the under like top 4 if we absolutely can't get anyone else, because like at that point like it isn't, the quality of the scrim just goes down so much, so you aren't like getting as much out of it, so you can't like bully every single team to getting into it. It's so much harder.
We could have. The thing is we could have if we were like, it's too late now, I think, because I think that the sentiment, okay, I actually tried to do this, okay, that here's actually behind the scenes. I tried to fucking do this. I have a group chat with me, Gumba, La Renegade, and Shao. And at the start of stage 1, I said, listen, we want to stream scrims and TM don't want to. I think we should collectively come to agreement to blacklist them from scrims because they get a competitive advantage. And both La Renegade and Shao basically said, yeah, I don't think that, like, I'm not sure. Like, we aren't like fully sold on this. But actually, if we'd come together, and especially if we partnered with like Toronto and stuff, we could have done it. Like, we could have like forced TM's handling. There's no way they would have went without scrimming any good team over not streaming their scrims. You know, we could have got it done. But at that moment in that group chat, that like alliance that we tried to create, it failed. And then I think that the second that TM get away with having a full stage of never streaming scrims and everybody else does it, it's inevitable that other teams are going to follow suit, you know?
Yeah.
And I actually think that like to a degree, like this like streaming scrims thing, like experiment has failed or is going to fail in the like, because I bet Toronto don't let any of their streams before Dallas gets streamed, you know? Like once this OWCS,
yeah,
I bet Cass just turns it off, because it feels like so bad to be the only team that allows it and other teams don't. You know, like it's funny. Like the reason we stopped doing comms originally was we watched a Peps scrim, and there was this time when we were playing Winston, Genji, Tracer, and this was like our fucking insane meta read. Like we were like, oh, we're revolutionaries, and we had this system where we played this like super high tempo, like dive in your spawn. That we would always have like our DPS calling, oh, I have a cut, and then we go. Now, obviously, the idea of a DPS player calling I have a cut and going isn't a London strategy. This isn't something that we do. Like every team knows it. But we were watching Peps scrim and they were diving in the same spots we were. They were using the same words we were. And it could have just been like random. Like I don't know if they necessarily copied it. But from our point of view, we are always going to look at that and think, oh, these fuckers have just copied our exact strats. And then immediately you're like, fuck, like have we just improved this team? Like have they just studied our VOD, studied our comms and done everything? Like, and even if it's like conspiratorial and it didn't actually happen, I think it's really hard to stomach that. And I actually think that like everything that I see, this trend is going to go away from streaming scrims more and more, because I think that the teams that are salaried, like Toronto, like M80, like TM, have very little motivation to allow it. For some reason, these unsponsored teams like Peps or EXO or whatever, like maybe they don't, like maybe they have the most to gain by streaming it, but it feels like they themselves are like, even if they allow it, they're less keen than they were, to the point where I just wonder if like this is I just don't think Overwatch. Like, maybe there's another rock bottom we need to hit before players like really, really see it.
To be fair to Peps, they did stream yesterday, and the only time I've been blocked by Peps before is when it was the day. I think it was the day before Swiss stage. So Peps blocked it because it was the day before a match.
So I'm fairly sure. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting this
wrong.
But
I also don't ask Peps that often because I'm very elitist with who I ask.
No. Pep said to me that they were okay with streaming they wanted to scrim us like after the groups and before the patch. They said, "Oh, let's scrim these days, and you can even stream it if you like." And the fact that he said to me, "Oh, you can even stream it if you like," to me indicates that they weren't happy with it before, because otherwise it would be like, I'm sure Pep said no earlier this time because I never see any of their players like stream it.
Trent does. He streamed yesterday.
Yeah, but before the patch, bro, that's what I'm saying, right? Like before the patch and after the group stage, like those few days, I think they were, because fuck it, like even Cass can't, like, that is for sure fucking useless, right? But I'm sure someone told me that EXO weren't okay with streaming scrims this time, but maybe they just
don't like you, to be honest.
It could be. I mean, I can't see why that would be the case.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, maybe they were an enemy of mine.
When I spoke to EXO, they said unlikely, but they hadn't actually asked for team. But they said, I think Chris said they won't be streaming scrims this week. But then I corrected him on that and said that wasn't true.
I was going to say, now that, see who's the misinformation now.
Again. Everyone just seems to think, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like in reality...
That's the thing, right? Like, what you just described there, that's exactly why it doesn't happen, because teams fucking hate to give a competitive disadvantage to someone else. So what needed to happen was we as a community need to say, okay, every single fucking stream up until a certain point is allowed to be done no matter what. And the seconds that our fucking coalition didn't blacklist TM, it was fucking dead then. It just took a stage for it to happen.
Yeah, well, I think even with because in theory, what I do is like the ultimate middle ground, right? Especially if it even has like Toronto's branding on it, you would feel that's like the ultimate middle ground, because then the org is in theory getting something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess like one of the main reasons that we spoke, like one of the things was like players can earn a little bit more money during scrims because they stream it, and like that aspect like goes completely. Whereas I think what Yo does is that they get people talk about SSG are doing this way. Like it definitely helps the product because more people are engaged, but it doesn't necessarily like help the player side to the point where. And I do think, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the reason M80 turned off they were the first team in NA that said no streaming strings, was because every single time they stream Toronto, they just get fucking 0-8'd, and then, like, I can't imagine there's any benefit for them. M80.
All right, any more comments about Korean skincare before we go back into the podcast?
No.
You should actually start the podcast there.
Well, I actually have a funny story about this one. I'm not. Okay. Hunter probably doesn't remember it. In 2019,
Just hit record.
It's on. Okay. Yeah, like well, everyone who knows about the Daco situation, it's probably been like done and talked over situation. But we in Atlanta 2019, we literally weren't on time to a single warm-up scrim on the arena because Daco had to do his fucking makeup every time before we left to the arena. Because he didn't want them, the staff there to do them. Because like 2019, you had to do your makeup before you went to play on stage, right? So he didn't want the staff members to do his makeup. So he started doing his makeup like 20 minutes before we have to leave. So every time we were like hour and a half late, so we had like a 15-minute warm up. We play one map, we were like, okay, you go play on stage. Because one guy had to do his makeup every day, like 15 to 20 minutes before we're leaving. And it was like, I wanted to kick the door down every single day. It's like, bro, just wake up earlier if you want to do your makeup. Like, that's just not okay, man.
Every time you hear about Daco, you just hear about like an empathetic, reasonable individual that, really valued other people for their work ethic and their time is kind of the impression that I get about Daco.
Really hardworking young man.
Yeah. I mean, he had heart,
Oh.
A lot of heart. Get yourself a player with passion, killer instinct.
Yeah, I would actually pay for someone to like go through the old words and translate them just to see how many slurs per minute the man is dropping.
Jeez, I'm sure he was only saying nice things, man. Don't worry about it.
Surely.
Yeah. Dog man, I love you so much.
Yeah, Kodak, you're so good at the game.
Oh, Christ.
Well, another group of Koreans who have only been saying nice things about us are our counterparts who have actually dropped our branding. Only needed it for the first day. Dropped our branding. And now they're called, I believe they're called Overwatch University now, but we're going to be calling them Korean Uncoachable, I think,
for
forever. So they did another episode. They had Krusty on. And I guess there's obviously there's like a whole podcast worth of stuff, but I guess there's like two main topics. This is all from the translation on Reddit, which is probably like a big caveat to say ahead of it, is that there is presumably significant amounts of stuff missed out of this translation, and there's probably a lot of nuance missed in the detail as well. So there were two bits where they talked about us, essentially, in terms of... Let me find it. Did you guys read it at the time?
Yeah, I saw their takes.
I saw most of it.
Oh, their translated takes.
Yeah, hold on.
You should always take it with a grain of salt when you're reading a translation on Reddit. Like, people don't realize how easy it is for like context to be lost when you're reading some random dude translating it. It's like, I saw in the replies of the Reddit thread that one client being like, I prefer this to the real Uncoachable. It's like, bro, you're comparing a podcast that goes for like 3 hours a piece to a fucking Reddit post that you're reading a translation of. It's like, what? Do you just not like the medium of podcasts at that point? It's like, nobody provides summaries for our podcast. Like, you prefer this. Unbelievable.
I mean, you're missing the TikTok crowd. Like, you should like do a condensed like 15-second versions of the podcast for the TikTok crowd. You're missing out on the young kids.
Yeah, short form video content.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
I mean, yeah, that person's just an unbelievable fucking client because they literally can't even fucking watch the other podcast. Oh, this is so much better than the other one. Like, what the fuck you told her? You can't even watch it. You literally cannot watch it. So maybe they fucking hate us so much that the idea of watching us is actually like such a negative experience that they would be like saying, I prefer watching with the fucking paint dry, you know? I find hate people like this. I mean, you're allowed to not like us, but shut the fuck up, you know? This is what I think.
I've actually fumbled the link now, so we're going to have to do it from memory. I'll find the link while we talk, though.
The Reddit post?
Yeah.
I've got it if you want it.
Nice, mate. Saving my ass.
I think the one thing that like I felt was like, there was a bit 9K says where he says, I find the exact quote because, you know, it's very important to be accurate. But he said something along the lines of like, oh, me and Krusty have more mixed team experience than anybody else. I don't know why these guys are like talking or when they don't have this much experience, which I think is like actually so fucking dumb, you know? Like, I had a mixed team experience for 3 years. I lived in Korea for 1 year. So, okay, maybe they have 5 or 6, but like this idea that we didn't have experience is dumb. Max, how long did you do mixed teams?
I mean, I was just getting like mega egoed in that discussion too. You know, it's like all of my teams have been mixed. You know, I had 2 months in European contenders and then like 4 years in Overwatch League, always mixed. Like every single team all the time, you know? And they're just like, these guys have no mixed roster experience. These guys don't know what it's like, you know? From their like limited experience of like one team or, you know, one mixed roster experience, it's like, every team was a mixed roster, you know? Like, it really isn't like this tiny little slice of life where you only get to see it once, you know? And it's not like you don't have relationships with all the other coaches in the scene and talk with everyone else that's also on a mixed roster and share your experiences in this regard too. So it's like, I don't know, to insinuate that just because we have Commander X, who, you know, does have, you know, let's say comically limited. Yeah, this guy doesn't know what a fucking Korean person sounds like, to be fair, you know? But I also didn't see him weighing in the discussion very much about, you know, X doesn't like flop his cock on the table during the discussion and be like, this is my experience with Koreans, those nasty Koreans. It's like, he just sits quiet and produces in these moments, you know? Like,
everyone we speak to has the same thing as well. Not to suddenly weigh in and flop my cock out on the table, but everyone we speak to, whether it's a player from New York or a player from Washington, all has some kind of experience when they work in some mixed roster. So I think the idea that it doesn't happen to Krusty or it doesn't happen to 9K make them maybe more the exception than the average white coach experience of coaching a mixed roster.
This is where I have to question the translation, because we got 9K on after we got accused of being racist for this reason. You know, it's like, oh, Gumba's shitting on mixed rosters so much. Gumba keeps shitting on Koreans, so we were like, let's get 9K on. And 9K came on, and he talked about the disadvantages of mixed rosters, and he talked about how the cultures are so different, and how the practice culture, it's like Western culture is way more fun, Korean culture is way more serious in terms of like the practice environments. And you know, we weren't talking about like, you know, we were talking about like pressure making diamonds and stuff like that, but like we covered it in a way which was very much like the Koreans seem to win an awful lot, but it doesn't seem like a lot of fun, you know, along the way. But at the end of the day, we get this translated Korean Overwatch University, not Uncoachable, podcast. And it's like, we've got 9K talking like he's never had this discussion at all with us, even though we sat down with him a couple of months ago to have this conversation.
Bro, it says here, 9K says, I do want to ask these coaches how many mixed career teams they've run. I was on your team, 9K. I was in Korea. I was there, bro. I was there, you know, like this is like, I think, go on.
I was gonna say, one thing that is true is when I was watching a bit of it live, I didn't know what they were saying. I just put it on, buff up viewers. Just looking, seeing what the vibe is. And one thing that was certainly true is when because they had us on screen, right? So I can complete the inception now. But they had us on screen and they had a little clip playing the entire time. But they had this bit on screen for ages, right? So they were clearly talking about the nature of our discussion for ages. But when I look at the translation, there's like 5 or 6 points. So it's like, well, you don't speak for 10 minutes and they go, 5 things were said.
I mean, I think there was like an element somewhere of like 9K and Krusty are like the only people who have had like success with the mixed roster, right? So I can understand from their perspective why they're a little bit like, oh, it's not that bad, blah, 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 blah. Because it's like, okay, you guys had success and every other mixed roster had the exact same problems, which we all spoke about, you know? Like even Masaa, you were on a mixed roster in Atlanta. It feels like you may have discussed previously that there was a few problems with some of the Korean and Western players in said team, right?
Yeah. But it's a mixed bag. Like, as I said, like, I trust you guys aren't racist. Like, you aren't like every damn Korean is like this. Like, no, it's like you get bad persons, you get good persons, but the cultures will clash at some point. Yeah. So it's up to the like coaching staff to like mend them and actually like try to make it work. That the both sides at least are somewhat happy that there isn't like the civil war starting.
And that's why 2021 Atlanta was so successful, Masaa, because, you know, between Steffi and Legit RC, we just had like the cultural powerhouses to, you know, mend all barriers between Korean and Western borders.
You just rallied everyone to bully Legit RC. Like, I swear to God, like, I come to work and I see his desk raised up to the fucking roof, everything's stolen, and the man just comes in and looks so defeated every single day. He was just getting bullied.
Do you remember when he came in and he was carrying a computer and his desk was he's carrying like a heavy ass computer, and he came in and his desk had been lifted up so high that he couldn't put the computer down on the desk.
Isn't it like a single person that everyone bullies? Like, that man was actually like the kicking bag of the whole team. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god. I'd forgotten about that. What a great time. What a time.
His quality of life went down. As soon as you spawned in Atlanta, his quality of life just like plummeted. It took like a dive down.
No, when he got in trouble for not showing up to work so much, and then one day he came and he had all the post-it notes and stuff. He was like a kid in school that was like, I'm gonna lock in for exams. It's like one day on his desk there was a bunch of post-it notes and like colorful pens and stuff. It's like you're a manager for an Overwatch team. What are you gonna do with this? Oh my god. Oh, those are glory days.
There was something else Krusty said too, where Krusty said, "Oh, I've never had problems with like players not like listening to like my
like not respecting him." Yeah,
I'm like, that's fucking cap, by the way. Like, that's like unbelievable. There was a story about like how Sam walked out. Striker was famously known for respecting every decision made by the coaching staff and never just fucking headbutting the wall in frustration. Like, there was like this like they had more success than anybody else. But if this translation is to believed, which we should really, really caveat that maybe it's fucking like this
missing huge bits. Yeah,
this Uncoachable 2.0, which is a Reddit document, might be inaccurate. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there is some fucking serious rose-tinted glasses about like even the Shocks like mixed teams. You know, like these were not like these fucking paradises and mixes of culture that they maybe they insinuate.
I think what happens, because I think Goomba even said this, is like it was easier to work with a mixed team for Goomba on season 6 than it was on season 5. And the main difference with season 6 is you're winning all the time. When you're winning all the time, in the same way, maybe Krusty had a lot of success on his mixed teams when they were winning all the time, but maybe season 6 Shock, even though it wasn't mixed, wasn't winning, and then had loads more problems. Like there's some kind of correlation here. It became mixed, yeah. But it didn't solve the problems either.
Yeah, no, I think getting Luke Minnow in there, you know, it was good for a game versus the Gladiators, but that was about it, you know.
So the other big topic they hit was when we talked about them always being obsessed with mirroring. Koreans obsessed with mirroring, which they seem to... Again, I want to like add a question to the translation here, because their counter-argument seems to very much be is the reason they end up on these comps is because they've sort of... The teams have gone through the trial and error and they're like, well, this is just the best comp. So if it's the best comp, we just have to play that comp. Which, I mean, like, in a pure theoretical world, that is true, right? If you've gone through all the other alternatives and you're locked in that this is the best comp no matter what the situation, then sure, you should play that comp. But when I keep seeing Bat Brig on Midtown and all these hybrid maps, I'm not quite as convinced.
Even if it is the best comp, if you're the worst team, then you shouldn't play it. No, like that. I think that was a big criticism. Like one thing again, like to be fair to Krusty, like Krusty's actually never been like a mirror coach, right? Like I think the guy actually has like when required, like played other comps. So again, like maybe our criticisms of like the APAC region
don't apply to Falcons, I think. Yeah,
because
I think
they
that would
have
be fair.
actually played other stuff. But even in that grand final against them, I was mapped to Hollywood, I'm sure it was, and both teams just played like Sigma Bat Brig like the entire. Maybe was it? I can't remember what it was. Like there was one of the maps I watched it, and like it was just like you just went through like each map, and both teams were on like the same comp like more often than not. And even then, I was a little bit like, yeah, maybe in the grand finals it's reasonable because both teams think they can win, so fuck it, like just put your dicks on the table and see what happens. But I feel like the criticism wasn't necessarily aimed at like these higher teams. It's like the Yetis and the Genesises that just would like occasionally just roll into the mirror against WAC and just take their customary 0-3 and then move on with it, you know, eat their ramen and go home.
Well, ultimately, Yeti had success when they just said, oh, fuck it, we're going to play dive everywhere. And then stopped doing it in playoffs and then just got rolled and immediately sent back out of playoffs as well. So I don't know. So it feels like it's just something that draws them back into it.
Something in the water.
But overall, I like it. I hope they keep doing it. Like sometimes I don't know if you read these like the same way, Max, but sometimes if I read the stuff that Rush says, like the more and more I get the feeling that this guy literally didn't fucking coach, you know? Like when he talks about my teams would always look the enemy in the eye and take, I don't know, like what was the exact quote? I don't know. Like he like basically called like Shock pussies because like the way that Rush would always play is like meet them in the middle and fucking fight them or some elaborate quote like that. I'm like, yeah, that's actually the classic dad coach take, you know, where it's like, just play with tempo, guys, you know, like whatever it is. And then, I don't know, like some of the stuff that he was saying, like, oh, like, we realized everyone was stealing our strats, so we stopped scrimming against like Shock and stuff. There's a little bit, but I kind of like it, you know, get your opinions out there. It's good. If you think that if you don't speak Korean and you think their podcast is better than ours, you're a fucking idiot. But apart from that, then
it's possible you just don't like podcasts. If you'd rather listen to a podcast where you can't understand anything of what's being said, what you like is background noise. You just want like some light music or something on in the background. You don't need to use a podcast for this.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, can we also talk about how they just like... So they didn't steal our branding and our concept, right? Because they asked us. They asked us for our branding and asked if they could do it. But then they just completely rebranded, and Rush starts acting like they didn't steal our shit. Like, what the fuck? 9K literally says, hey, we want to do exactly what you're doing. Can we just have your branding? Because we're doing exactly what you're doing, one for one. And then Rush comes out saying, no. This isn't a copy of Uncoachable. This is Overwatch University.
You gotta start sending those cease and desist letters.
Yeah,
We
no,
actually
well,
need to.
like I
If
think
they use our branding, it's okay. But now that we've started the war, fucking
yeah. Our concept is Overwatch University. Fuck off.
we've defeated Plat Chat now. Like it's gone. It's like it's fucking Biddy Fairs. Our next rivalry is Korean Uncoachable.
Because I think when 9K messaged me, he was like, "Oh, it's the first one's really hard. We don't have time to make all of this. Can we use yours?" I said, "Not a problem." So it's a bit sad that they changed away from it, right? I think it's funnier if it's just a Korean Uncoachable. But to then act like, "Oh no, it was always Korean Overwatch University," I was like, "There's a video of the first one that says Uncoachable on it."
I think they could have done a little more to give us a very subtle nod to the fact that maybe they weren't the first ones to, to have the concept. I think there's nothing wrong with rebranding to, Overwatch University or something in Korean, right? Like that makes a lot of sense that, the Korean podcast would name itself something that's Korean friendly rather than like an English word kind of like punny thing. But just like one little nod to the fact that they're completely one-to-one replicating the concept here, to the point that they were willing to use our graphics for their first episode. But unique concept. It could also be a translation issue, like Russian English is so fucking bad.
They could have actually been the most respectful, and the person doing like you watch the TV program Shogun, you watch it, very fucking good. But like that's like a huge part of that is about like fucking how the translator can take something that you say which is like really nice and turn it into nasty or vice versa. That's what this could have been. This person translating could hate Uncoachable and could be trying to like stir the pot, whereas actually in the podcast they're like, I fucking love these guys. Great coaches, great guys.
I'm on like episode 6, so I feel like you've really spoiled something about the show for me.
I've not started watching it. It's on my to watch list, and now fuck. You've ruined it for everyone.
Paying attention, it happens like throughout from like episode 1.
I've not started watching it yet.
She's always, oh my god, she's always twisting stuff, like just to minor. But there's nothing that's been consequential to the plot yet, Like
there isn't.
There's always. Oh, you're telling me there isn't?
But I'm just trying to fucking relate these two things. That's what we're doing here.
I thought you were gonna. I thought there was gonna be like a big overarching spoiler here, where it's like something that's coming later in the show is going to be completely cooked by her conflict.
I think they're only up to like episode 7. I think you're pretty much up to date.
They might be on like episode 8 or 9 by now.
I think it's 9. Episode 9 now.
Not fucking 9.
In summary, I need to kill myself. Just like everyone in the show.
Dude,
they're in Shogun. They're so suicide pilled. No, like anything goes
so
wrong.
Funny, dude. Anything goes wrong. Seppuku? Come on, little Seppuku. Come on.
This is a spoiler for everyone. But in like the first episode, he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. I will kill myself and my firstborn son." Like, fucking hell, mate. Like, chill out. And then he's like, "Yeah, fair enough. That's like an acceptable punishment."
That's reasonable. Thank you.
It is episode 9. It came out yesterday, so good shout from you guys on that one. But yeah, it's a good show actually. I'm fully enjoying it.
You can actually see it now. You're like, Shogun peeled me.
It's like super.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Except for that earthquake, that was the worst scene in the history of television.
So many spoilers. So now we have 2 directions to go in. We can either keep talking about Shogun and obviously spoil it for all the viewers, or we could talk about the Esports World Cup.
I'm happy with either. We can.
It's a real 50-50. We've done a little bit of Shogun. We'll do a little bit of World Cup, and we can always come back to Shogun if we really want as well. So, I guess 2 big announcements. The first is the qualification bracket, or the qualification where the spots come in. So, big news, I guess, is China have got a spot, which I believe means Chris wins a bet. I can't even remember who you bet with now.
It was me and Max for $50 Australian or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope it was Australian dollars, not whatever your currency is, because I'm just like, that's a huge difference.
Lan, when we both make it, mate, buy me a beer, okay? And we'll call it a day.
Wow, that's actually like, that's a way better trade for me. I'll see you at LAN.
All right, good night.
Luminosity guy said, see you at LAN.
So I guess...
fuck, if it's the World Cup, you definitely shouldn't buy me a beer, actually, upon hand.
Don't buy me a beer in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course.
They normally have like areas, don't they? Like tourist areas where non-natives are allowed to drink.
Yeah, that's not Saudi Arabia, brother. That's
I think that's
Qatar I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Saudi is about as conservative as it gets, brother. So
So no beers, please.
I will buy you a beer in Saudi.
It's really up the stakes of this beer when you smuggle it into the country.
No,
Here's your beer.
I thought about it. I'll give you the Australian dollars. It seems like less risky than the money.
Yeah. So, yeah, the team from China is just getting an invite, and I think everyone's going to presume this is just going to be like Spark, essentially, right? Spark maybe plus probably a pretty big roster. They can literally take everyone, right?
I mean, the way I read it was team from China means the World Cup team. From
as in just that squad.
Yeah,
I'm
going to wonder, like, what team is going to get picked up?
I bet it's the exact World Cup team. I don't think it means, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if it's a team from China, but I think it's team from China, which was the World Cup team, because that's what they couldn't call them Team China, right? It was team from China. I bet it's those players. Which is fucking insane, by the way. It's actually insane that those players, I know obviously it sucks to be a fucking Chinese Overwatch player, but imagine you have so much fucking aura that you by hand just get invited to this. Everybody else is dogfighting it out to figure out how to qualify, even like the best Korean players. But we'll just invite these guys. You know, imagine me like the second best Chinese player. It's fucked up world, actually.
I mean, you're never going to compete with Leave, you know? Like, that guy's just been so mega famous for like so many years. Like, you're never going to top him. And then your game became illegal. So like your ability to become famous in the game, like it kind of disappeared, right? Like Leave monopolized the market then and there.
True.
Yeah. Team from China. Yeah, I mean, that has to be
you're right.
Players from World Cup. Like with that wording.
Yeah.
It's also probably the fairest way to do it, right? Rather than just giving it to like just who perceives you to be, these guys look like the best team, give them the spot, right? It gives like a formality to it to invite them.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that EU just sucks at this LAN, because it's actually looking like NA, that you're going to get bonus slots for NA if like in direct competition with EU, right? Like all of the bonus slots, because they can't come from Asia, it's only NA and EU.
Yeah. So
Toronto isn't looking that powerful.
We should explain this, I think. So
I was going to say, because I think I maybe have a different interpretation. Because obviously, so the Asia spots are probably, because chronologically, the Asia spots will happen first, right? Because the Asia LAN will happen before these other events. So then the top 4 teams, which are presumably going to be the 4 Korean teams, will get all of these spots. They'll be secured. And then what happened? Then the FACEIT Major happens. Or not the FACEIT Major, sorry. The FACEIT League happens next, right? Or is it the Dallas Major that happens next?
I feel like what happens next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Major before the FACEIT League.
So then the top 2 teams go, but this can't be any of the Korean teams. So it's the top 2 placing Western teams out of this going.
So I think there's like 3 spots on this list which are like everything is confirmed apart from the 2 at the top and then the 1 in the bottom right? And I think from what my understanding is, the 1 in the bottom right, the Dallas Major winning region, this can be Korea or this can be APAC. So my understanding is that if, let's say that what everyone expects to happen, which is like Falcons and WAC go 1-2, this bottom right will mean that the 5th team from APAC goes. So this is probably actually a Japanese team, right? Because there's only 4 Korean teams that made it to LAN.
It'll be like Varel or one of those Honeypot, one of those 4 teams, yeah.
But what they confirmed was these top 2, the OWCS 1 and 2, this is not APAC. This is not Korean. So this will be NA or EU. So what I think this means is, let's assume that Korea wins it for now. This means that there will be either 4 teams from EU, 4 teams from NA, 5 teams from EU, 3 teams from NA, or 5 teams from NA and 3 teams for EU. So what actually happens, this is actually what's kind of good about this format, is at the moment, there is like this fucking inter-regional rivalry. You're like Unta versus Capitology. Who is the best coach, Chris versus EXO. But the second that the top 3 go, all of a sudden EXO needs to be stopped donating their money to charity and donating it to me, because they actually really, really need me to win, And it's the same thing, like Capitology is going to like become like Unta's #1 fan or vice versa. Because actually you really, really want, like if ENCE finishes the top 2 Western teams, if SSG and ENCE finishes the top 2 Western teams, I think what that reads as is 4th place EU from FACEIT and 5th place EU from FACEIT, which maybe, I don't know what that is, like Peps and EXO. They will go to the World Cup. So I think actually there is like a huge like incentive somewhere. I mean, I don't really know if you want to warm up these teams and like do everything fucking humanly possible so that the EU teams win, because actually there is a this is way more important than qualifying for major, like qualifying for the World Cup. So actually, I think that there was like a massive incentive for like there was going to be like a real E versus NA rivalry, you know. I feel like from where I am right now, maybe I'm undervaluing like Timeless again, but I feel like the odds are like super low on NA taking both of the top two seeds. I feel like only Toronto right now seems like they are like at a level high enough to take it. So it feels like it's either going to be 2 teams from EU or 1 team from each. So everyone has to be like such a Toronto heads, because like if it like the 4th place team is like either like Luminosity or Timeless, maybe depending on how it goes. Like what you guys are super invested in Toronto to get that spot for NA.
Which is why I'm all for Toronto not streaming their scrims, because I just really want them to win. You know, I really want them to have that like 0.01% advantage, because it actually like hugely benefits us in terms of getting into the lane. So, like I've been saying for the entire podcast, like big up to Big Man Casaurus for cutting down on the streaming of scrims and whatnot, because that shit is just like that's killing our region, honestly. So thank you for that, Casaurus, honestly, and all your wisdom.
Thank you, Casaurus.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm fully banking on Casaurus here for a ticket. Yeah, I'm actually such a Cass head, dude.
But wait,
it's actually going to come down to it, and I'm going to start messaging in my real takes. You know, like that's where it's at. You know,
I don't think that's the way to win this series. Just my opinion, you know. But maybe merit on hit scan.
Cass about to get a load of unsolicited opinions in his DMs from the timeless M80 Luminosity.
The brains trust. It all comes together.
Capitology's DM Casaurus. Have you tried standing on point here?
he's just getting conflicting DMs. Just like, stand on point, take for space, put merit on hit scan.
Chat, we're cooked. Okay, so maybe we can transition into the topic now. It's like this FACEIT League stuff that is qualifying people. It looks good for all the teams that are going to compete, from OWCS, right? Like for the top 8 teams, basically. The teams that are going to auto-qualify through to like the Masters division or whatever it's called. But the way that they pitched this initially, it wasn't just that it was going to be the Masters division. It was going to be like a multi-tiered system that's supposed to pull in like everyone and become basically your whole new tier 1 through 3 system for people of all skill levels to play in, Like you want absolute comlo players playing in like essentially like loosely ranked matches. You want people that are like the equivalent of tier 3, tier 2, and then all the way through to tier 1 for the Masters division. And it's just been like a complete abject failure, Like nobody has signed up for the FACEIT League other than the teams that are going to qualify for EWC. And those teams, we didn't even have to sign up. We've been automatically handed like the sign up codes, We've just been put into the tournament for free. So I feel like there's a really, really big issue here with what FACEIT League is, in that like it hasn't gotten any traction whatsoever. And I mean, I have plenty of opinions about like why it hasn't, but I don't know if any of you guys have that take first.
Yeah, I think X, if you click on the link I put in the chat, I don't know if you can bring it up. I
can do it.
But like my understanding is like this is if you go here, teams. So this is every team. So I think there was 104 teams across 4 regions signed up. But if you see like on the right, if you can see between like mine and Massa's face cams, where it says registered, maybe I'm wrong. My understanding is it's like this isn't like signed up and paid. You know what I mean? Like
it's like
I can
that
actually
one.
only
confirmed as paid.
ENCE, the confirmed maybe means paid. So from what I see when I go through this, there was only like 3 teams in the fucking world who have actually like completed and paid for this so far. And these are the teams like us and ENCE who got it for free. So of course I fucking did it. I just had to put in a
and these guys, shout out to these guys.
Yeah, fucking Eris Hex have actually paid the fucking money.
Big ups to Eris Hex.
I don't know. I felt like what I really, really wanted from this was to look through the teams and to see the non-pro teams, to just see like for fun teams as much as possible. I think that was the way for this to work. But I look at this and I think it's overwhelmingly dominated by teams who are like pro or semi-pro. And I think unless there was like just a problem with the website and there was actually more teams than I can see, 100 signups where only like 5 of them are confirmed across 4 regions is actually like, oh my God, like it's like totally fucked, Like, what's your team called? You haven't signed up for this yet, right? Or have you?
Yeah, we haven't signed up at all. Yeah. We're not even on the website or anything like that.
Because there's only seven teams in South America. There is only in OWCS. There is also.
OWCS. Yeah, we're on that. We're on that one, right?
What's your team
We're
called?
on the OWCS one, the Great Showman.
Oh yeah, there you are. But you also haven't paid for it yet, right? Like,
I think we might have gotten free sign-up codes as well. I'm pretty sure that people paid to enter this, but we got free sign-up codes because one of the people, like the captain of the team, is a content creator, so he got codes for that too. You know, like
yeah. So I don't know. It looks. I mean, yeah. Gumba was maybe right that like actually just no one's going to fucking sign up for this. Like I don't know how much of it is like a marketing ploy versus just like what you guys were saying last week, where like the rank system itself is just so. It's so superior that like there is no interest in people to do this.
Yeah, like big thing like what I heard people say is like a big reason why people use FACEIT in like CS and stuff like that is because like the cheater problem, which isn't like as big in Overwatch. Like if somebody uses wall hacks, like it doesn't matter as much. Like you can just not pick that shit. I think it's like it's such a big deal if somebody uses cheats, like, and the population is so much bigger where the cheats are like being used.
This game is like significantly harder to cheat in than pretty much any of the others, you know? Like you can win a game versus a rage hacker in Overwatch, like unironically, you know, because there's like so much that you can do to shut out an individual player. And more often than not, the cheaters are all fucking terrible at the game. So it's really, really easy to win. But just overall, like there's probably less cheaters as well in the game. Like the anti-cheat probably just gets it done, at least for like the higher ranks.
Yeah,
I think it's not just about like the fact that people don't want to play the product, because I think we already talked like in the previous episodes about like why the product might not be like super compelling, you know, like why it's just not that appealing, because ranked is actually quite good.
Yeah,
but I think there's also like a big problem where it's like they had such a good step one for this, like the idea of how they were going to promote it, but then I feel like they just completely missed the boat on actually pulling the trigger on that. And what I mean by that is they briefed a bunch of content creators, like really a lot of content creators were briefed on the fact that this was going to come out. And then they briefed top teams as well. You know, they found the teams that were doing well in OWCS and they sat down with us all and they talked with us and said, hey, we're going to come out with this FACEIT League. People are going to need to pay to sign up, but this is going to contribute to the prize pool. This is going to mean that it's actually able to continue occurring over and over again. So it's going to be really important that you guys all promote this, you know, that like when we drop the announcement on this, that you guys push this, because signups are going to be really beneficial for you. You know, this is the ecosystem that you play in, and you're going to be reliant on people signing up to play in it in order for you to actually have a job and to actually get paid through the tournaments, you know. But the problem is, like, I don't think that they did a very good job of actually mobilizing people to do that and to actually have people shilling for the system when it dropped. Like, when FACEIT League was announced, the day that it was announced, I didn't even know, you know? Like, even though they got in touch with us on Discord to tell us that it was coming at some point, they never got back in touch to shill the announcement on the day, you know? The announcement tweet got like 1,000 likes on Twitter, you know? Like, absolutely nothing. Like, they reached out to so many different people that have more Twitter reach, and one random shitpost would get more than their entire announcement, you know what I mean? But they had such a good step one, you know, like they got in touch with all the right people to actually like sow the seeds and, you know, actually potentially cast the net super wide. But then they didn't utilize those same people that they got in touch with, even though they knew who the content creators were, they knew who the high ranked players were, they knew who the best players were in tier one. They didn't actually get all of those people to be like, hey, today's the day, we're dropping the product, shill the fuck out of it, and down the line, it's going to benefit you. And I think that's where they really missed the boat. And now they're kind of scrambling, trying to fix it, you know? Like I'm getting messages on Twitter from like different people working at FACEIT and stuff like that. And they're asking like, where did it go so wrong? You know, like why do we have like such low signups for the tournament? You know, when we talked to you guys, it sounded like we had a compelling product. You know, it sounded like we had something that you guys were all interested in. And it's like, yeah, we were interested in it because we're going to win it. You know, like we're at the top of the scene. But for the majority of people, you need to trick them into signing up, or, you know, at least make sure that everyone like has some reason to play in it, you know? And like a reason to play in it is if like all those people that are on teams like Shmungus or whatever, you know, like your actual, like your content powerhouses that people actually watch, if they're promoting it, if they want to play in it, because this is a perfect tournament for a team like Shmungus or something like that, no? Like you get more games versus opponents that are at their level. They actually get to play on stream more frequently. Like they'll probably get good matches more. But yeah. I haven't heard a single person from Shmungus or the NA equivalent, you know, Overwatched or whatever it's called. I haven't heard any of them shilling for FACEIT League, because it's like, I don't even know if they know it exists or that it's been announced. Like there's just like a missing link here where it's like they have a decent product, or, you know, they have something that could work, but they don't know who to talk to, you know, they don't know how to promote this properly.
Yeah, I think Overwatch is doing it, right? Like I think on their stream, they like talk about Scrims. So I think they do have no idea about the Shmungus, but I think you're right. Like this is they should be content creators pushing for this. They should have codes or something, you know, because the market, like it feels like everyone I know in the competitive scene knows about it or has had like a DM about it. But we are not what we need to convince. What we need to convince is fucking like Andy from marketing at some fucking company that plays Overwatch on the weekends for fun, you know? Like we need like those people to play it. And what we need is like the open division or the advanced division or whatever the divisions are called. These need to have more signups than the pro one, you know, for this to work. Like we need to get like regular people involved in like semi-competitive Overwatch for fun. But at this moment in time, for whatever fucking reason, it looks like dead on arrival. It looks like sauna in fucking ENCE, you know? Like there's no legs here.
Man is just catching strays.
He shouldn't have tweeted.
The new Yaki, I like it.
Oh yeah, Yaki mention. What,
Not
2.5
bad.
hours
There
ago?
we go. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
3 hours in.
Fuck that guy.
You'll see him have a World Cup. You, Capitology, Yaki.
Just all my boys. Fuck.
It should be worth saying as well, is like the signups also aren't closed for this either. It's like the 25th, right? Or like next Thursday. Or the Thursday after next at the time of recording. And also hopefully like in theory the last week of signups is always the most popular week of signups in theory for all these things. In terms of paying as well. So hopefully there's at least like a high conversion rate of the teams that are there. I guess I also don't know like what equals success. Like what number of teams do we need to? What number of teams would we be looking at and go, that's all right, we did it, or you know,
couple more than this.
Yeah, 5x what we have now.
Oh, fuck,
50.
Well, it was a good run, boys. I love the Overwatch League.
I think that the open system is way better. You know, I'm just glad that everyone gets an equal opportunity.
Swiss system.
Somewhere where not everyone's going to get an equal opportunity, only 16 teams are going to get an opportunity, is obviously the Esports World Cup also announced their prize money, which was a big number on the face of it, because 60 million is a lot of money, I think we can all agree. But when you actually do some of the math, I guess, in terms of what's likely to go towards Overwatch, I think, what was it, like, based on what money isn't assigned already, like 1.5 million or something is the estimate for Overwatch or something. Because a bunch of this 60 million is obviously for other games, for the overall tournament prizing itself, and some of it's just for, like, MVP stuff as well.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to orgs, right? Like 20 million or something is going to like the org that wins the tournament by winning the most titles, like something like that.
Yeah, so it's 20 million for like the overall winner, right? So the idea that somebody is going to get like or some org is going to get an insane payday is true. But then for the game championships, it's 30 million. But that's split between, I don't know the exact number of times, but it's split between a lot of games. 19 games. And then there's some prize money for the qualifiers and some prize money for the individual MVP of each tournament, which I think is 50 grand for MVP per tournament, which isn't too shabby, but obviously that's only one person.
Where's the list of games for the tournament actually?
If you go on their Twitter, they have
this one, right? Like groundbreaking light. So Apex, Counter-Strike, Dota, EA Sports, FC 24. Is that FIFA?
Yeah.
Can you link the tweet just because it's blurry as on the screen share? Yeah, because I do wonder like how many of these games, like what people are doing is just averaging out the titles, right? You know, they're saying like, oh, this is going to be the prize pool if like we averaged it out. But I mean, like look at the games on this list. Like how many of these games are like 1v1 games? You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
That's a racing game.
PUBG Mobile had a $3 million prize pool, and like what is PUBG Mobile? 4v4?
3v3? Yeah, something like that.
It's not 1v1, but I'm looking in this and I'm seeing games that are like, you know, these are like 1v1, 2v2 games, you know?
Yeah.
So I think to make the assumption that Overwatch has the same prize pool as the number of titles here divided by, you get me. That's probably not true when it's more than likely that the Overwatch prize pool is going to be higher than that because it's not a 1v1 game. It's a 6v6 game. Oh, it's a 5v5 game. I'm living in the past.
Wait, tell them it's 6v6. We'll get an even bigger share.
Yeah.
And Overwatch specifically is massive in Saudi, you know? Saudi, loves Overwatch. So I think the assumption that people are making about how big the prize pool is going to be, I think that might be a little bit kappa, to be honest. And I'm like the biggest fucking doomer ever when it comes to this shit. Like I'm always spinning negative stuff about this, but like look at the games on this list, you know, like so many of them are games that like, are you trying to tell me that Honor of Kings and Overwatch can have the same fucking prize pool in Saudi Arabia? Like get a fucking grip, dude. Like Overwatch is the Saudi game. It's the one game that they've ever won anything in. It's like their headline game. It's the game that everyone knew was going to be there from the start. Like if you think that this game is going to have a prize pool equivalent to Tekken 8, no fucking way, bro. No fucking way.
Yeah, I was gonna say like same thing. Some are being so super doomer about like the first the prize pools are being revealed, and it's like Overwatch is just gonna get 1 mil or something. I mean, it's still good money if you win it all, but like as you said, it's literally the game. They won World Cup. Everyone like there knows about Overwatch. Like ain't nobody watching fucking StarCraft 2. They're like nobody even watches it like in Europe or NA. Like it's only like pretty much like Korean nowadays.
Well, if Twisted Minds do well, or even get to the final, or even win it, right? It's a huge storyline that the actual World Cup itself will be so happy to fucking promote, to be like, the Saudi team, they're in the final here. They're going to be playing on the big stage. They can win it all, blah, blah, blah.
Do they even have like teams like that are really competitive that have like Saudi players in any other games? I'm really not
Falcons, right? Or do you mean Twisted specifically?
Like Saudi in like general, in general.
These teams.
Some of the fighting games, I think. Some of the fighting games, I think they're genuinely competitive in. But I don't know about any of like the bigger ones.
The best FIFA player in the world was also Saudi Arabian for a while. So I think there was like a few games.
These organizations, like these Saudi orgs that are competing like Twisted and Falcons and stuff like that, like they recruit rosters based around the games that are at Gamers 8, which is this, you know, like they want to win Gamers 8 so badly, you know, like I'm pretty sure Twisted Minds won Gamers 8 before, like the organization prize last year. And like they employ so many different people, you know, like I think they have more than 100 players across different titles, you know, so you mightn't realize it because, you know, some of the games are fucking Honor of Kings. Like I don't even know what Honor of Kings is. That's why I keep saying the name. But it's like overall, like you mightn't realize that these teams are competitive in these games, but it's like, who the fuck is playing these games? Who is paying people to play some of these games? But you know, they're competing at G8 and like it really, really matters to have a competitive roster for it.
I think it goes the other way too, though, you know, like I think you're right that like some of like the solo games, like in theory, are going to have like less of a prize pool, but I also can't see why like something like CSGO, Dota, or League of Legends doesn't also take like 5 million plus of that.
Oh, those could be big. That's true.
So I actually think that like in the end, I think Overwatch is actually going to be a little bit lower than people think. I bet it is close to that average, if not even potentially under it. Because I think like with Dota, like I bet they'll like throw loads at certain games, you know, like especially if they're trying to like rival the international or like the League of Legends Worlds or something. Like I imagine of that 30 million, like those like really, really premier esports, like like maybe it's just the big three, like CS, League, and Dota. Is Valorant here? Valorant isn't on this list, right? Or is it? I'm not sure. Either way,
it says more will be announced, but it's not on the list right now. I imagine
that they might end up taking a big chunk, and then the Tekkens might take a little chunk, and maybe Overwatch is just like somewhere in the middle, you know?
It might take like a small chunk, but a slightly scaled up small chunk on the basis it's more people than Tekken.
Yeah.
Because I think the problem they have with like Counter-Strike and Dota and League is they can't just offer them $1 million because they want to try and make themselves a major event on the calendar for all these games, right? Which for Overwatch, quite easy to get on that calendar. But for Counter-Strike, if you're not dropping like a few million, you're not on the calendar at all, even as like an S-tier event or something. So they have to give those games more money.
Yeah, if you do 1 million for Overwatch, you're by far the biggest Overwatch tournament of the year. Like,
I do also think it's funny when people are like, "Oh, the Overwatch League had the same prize pool as this. This is bad." It's like you understand that the Overwatch League ran for like the entire fucking year to give you this prize pool, whereas this is like what is it, like a 1 week, 2 week tournament to give you the same amount of prize money. It's like it's such a non-comparable thing at all, because like Overwatch League was like a guaranteed 50k plus salary for everyone for the entire year. But then, you know, like the prize pool component of Overwatch League was just like the cherry on top of the whole product. You know what I mean? Like nobody was signing up to Overwatch League for the prize pool component, you know? Like that wasn't the thing that actually mattered. It was the job that you were getting for the vast majority of players, you know? Whereas now, like, prize pool is everything to everyone because the best in org is going to pay you as, like, below minimum wage. You can be on the best team in Europe and you're still getting Australian government support.
Being a burden to the government.
He needs to get clowned more about that. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, it's actually so funny. I think it's so funny. But he's mad about it too. Like, it's so funny.
Crazy because he's like so skilled too. Like, he should just, like, there's just no universe where that guy should ever be on welfare because he's, like, far too, like, professionally and technically skilled to ever need government support. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy.
I hope ENCE actually go on to win the World Cup, just so there's some kind of, like, juxtaposition of Goomba holding the trophy for the World Cup and then going to pick up his benefits check in within the same week.
It's gold.
Yeah, I don't know when we'll get more news, but I think there's still, like, an element of wait and see, I think.
I think, I suppose, like, more or less, like, we know how it's going to qualify. We know this. Like, I think it's probably just prize pool and then maybe, like, the format of the event. Like, are we doing a Swiss stage? Maybe we should do one of them. Are we?
the Swiss in Riyadh? Fuck.
Are we doing Hero
Swiss.
Band? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if anyone's actually heard anything about any of the actual details of how they're going to run the tournament or what it's going to look like. Presumption is everyone's going to get their flights and accommodation paid for to go out there. I imagine that's, like, the base assumption.
I think it's like one of the things I do think that you guys are, when you discuss, like, if like Saudi's good in the game, that's important. I think you maybe misjudged the actual motivation behind this event. Like, I don't think they actually care, like, about Saudi orgs, and I don't think they necessarily care about, like, the Saudi players doing well. I think this is very much like they want this to become, like, a premier esports event. They want, like, effectively what the idea of, like, all of this is for, like, Saudi Arabia to become, like, a tourist destination for certain things, for big sporting events, for big esports events. So I think for them, above all else, what they want is, like, significant credibility in it. So I'm not convinced that they would do something where they favor Saudi teams or they favor, like, games where Saudis are good, because I think that this is kind of bigger than that in a way. Like, this is very much a really, really important event for actually the country of Saudi Arabia to legitimize itself as a, like, if you like esports, come to Saudi for these events because these are the best on planet Earth. Like, every single pro player is here.
I think that's fairly valid too, actually, now that you mention it, because it's like, as much as I want to shit on PUBG Mobile, that's a significantly bigger esport than Overwatch, like, genuinely. It's way, way, way bigger than Overwatch because it's, like, fucking insanely big in, like, China and India. And, like, they might have, like, a small viewership gap on us, low key, even if their spend per user might be a tiny bit lower than someone in the West.
All right, should we do a quiz?
Quiz it up.
Okay. Potentially a fun one today, I think. I'm quite happy with this quiz. What I'm going to ask the three of you lovely gentlemen here is I'm looking for players who've done the big three, okay? So what I'm looking for is players who've played in EU or WCS, because I don't want to do NA in Korea.
Not where I thought that was going.
Who've the qualifier for this is they need to have got at least the group stages, so at least top 16 in the EU
EMEA OWCS. Sorry, trying to say.
What we're in right now. World Cup, they needed to have made grand finals here, not like top two, but like the event, like the BlizzCon event. Like, so like if you just like we're in the fucking online qualifiers, it doesn't count. That you have to have actually gone to the LAN and
they needed to be like a top 16 World Cup team.
Yeah, any season, and they need to have played in the Overwatch League. So I have what I think is around like 15, 16 players in EU. Some of them you'll get quickly. Some of them you might have to dig a little bit.
Did you say only EMEA OWCS, not NA?
Yeah, so yes.
Okay.
Okay, so then Masaa, as the guest, you can go first.
Oh, wait, sorry. One more clarifying question. Is it only this most recent World Cup we're talking about? So
no,
2023?
Across history, any World Cup across history. But they have to have made like the big boy stages. And I'm sure I've pissed people off because I'm going to miss them off the list when they qualify. But that's the fucking quiz, you know? Get over it.
So I'll probably start with an easy one like Vestola.
Yes, Vestola is on that list. X, go next.
I'm going to go with Masaa.
Yeah, Masaa.
Can't believe I yogged that one from you.
Gonna go with the French Panther, Nico Doghand.
No. When did he play at WCS?
Oh shit!
Oh, he's fumbled.
Nico quit.
Oh, he's fumbled.
First round fumble.
He didn't quit. He didn't quit.
He was forced out.
There was so many names on this list which are just unbelievable.
No, I just had Nico like in my head straight away. I was like, wait, he's like, I just wanted to say his name, and now it's over.
Well, you
throwing
got
my position in the quiz.
All right, Masaa.
Kev.
No. So Kev has never played. He played for Spilo, but they didn't qualify. If you remember.
Yeah, but didn't they qualify? Like, was it on this year's World Cup?
Yeah, and I don't think he played for the World Cup.
Oh yeah. Oh, my bad. Yeah.
So Kev also not on the list.
Land dodger, fucking land dodger, Kev.
Yeah. So another fumble early on.
Kai for sure.
Kai,
a lot.
Kai.
Ben best played in OWCS, right? Like Ben two-timed it.
Yeah, okay. Yes, Ben is in. FD also in.
Astro.
Yep, Astro, no problem.
Crimzo.
Yes, Crimzo, good shout. I think he would one that people will forget because he's obviously Canadian, but is in EMEA. So yeah. It's like KSA.
KSA, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think he played for Vancouver for a season, right? And
I'm pretty sure he was in the league at one point.
Yeah, that's a very good shout. That was a sleeper pick.
I'm trying to get good with my boys.
Your mate.
Well, yeah, he must have played in one of them. Shax. Denmark didn't make the recent one, but he must have made the big stage at one stage.
Very old school. So Shax, on the list.
Fuck, dude. Sparky wasn't there. Hardy wasn't there. Backers?
Yeah, Backbone on there. Now, we've done a pretty good job. I think I've got 5 or 6 more.
Oh, God.
I'm just trying to remember who was at the after parties at the World Cup.
He likes this party and also this party.
Yeah. I'm just I have no idea. Is there any Finns left?
Oh wait, I've got one.
Cloudy?
He's not.
I didn't put Cloudy in because I don't think he counts as.
Because he's not played yet, whereas Ben played maps. The remaining Finn is Fort Leader Sauna, right?
It is, of course. Sauna, always in the big three. So X is running away with this quiz unless someone catches him.
X has stolen it, really. Was there another Canadian? Are there other? No, because it has to be EMEA. So Crimzo's the only one that could possibly do that. JK never made Overwatch League. I think Team UK might be tapped. I was thinking Smex, but he did not play OWCS. There's no chance whatsoever. His ticker was way too dodgy for that. There's probably a Frenchman, a little forgettable Frenchman somewhere in there that I'm kind of skipping over.
I played Overwatch League, mate, no?
Who was the other DPS in that team? It was Pack and someone.
Avo, but he didn't play Overwatch League.
Yeah, no, could have been him then. So maybe I'm not forgetting Frenchmen because their flex support. They went through 3 banned flex supports. They never made Overwatch League, right? Jeez. Yeah, no, we're looking pretty grim right now. I feel like you've got someone in your head already.
I've got one.
Right.
I've got one.
I got Kelix.
Oh,
yes,
fuck.
Alex, good shout. Yeah.
That's what I just thought that was. I just thought that
every World Cup that Denmark made it. He's a real OG.
Oh, fuck. I was going to go Kellex, so now I'm...
So let me see how many I've got.
Well, can I guess still?
Yeah, go on.
Shockwave?
No. So Shockwave only
what
played...
did he miss?
The World Cup,
because he only played this season and Denmark didn't qualify. So Shockwave
didn't he play in the 2019 season?
Not according to Wikipedia. You can check
it would have been Fisher, Shax, and Naga, right? That would have been the 3.
Yeah. Go on, say the name. Naga.
Oh, Naga, yeah.
Whoa!
That's the next point. Like,
yeah, okay.
Long way round to it.
Then let me see how many I've got. Okay, these two are the last two, and these two are fucking hard to get.
Oh fuck!
It's only
are they just like 2019 callbacks. Like you can't remember drinking with them in the past year. Is that why?
Yeah, like they're like one of them's like really bait, and then one of them is just like you'll never remember it.
Are we just jumping in now, or
yeah? Fuck it.
Okay. Is Dan one of them?
Yes. Okay. So actually, Dan is on the list, and I didn't write him down, so he's not part of the two. But yes, actually,
okay. Because he played in one of the older World Cups, right? Surely.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, good shout. So still two more.
Dude, you're an actual quiz head, X. Like, this is insane. Dominant performance.
It actually is an unbelievable quiz performance.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes you 20 episodes or so to warm up, but once I'm locked in, after those first 20, I'm locked in and there'll be no stopping me now.
All right, shall we do? I'll give you the nationalities, okay? Yeah. One is French, one is Swedish.
What the fuck?
Is Lolshish Swedish?
He didn't play. Surely he didn't. He's not an OWCS,
yeah, but no OWCS.
He full quit.
Who else is Swedish? Because it's not Danid, right? Because he never played in Overwatch League.
Wait, did he? No, he didn't.
No,
not Danid.
Was it some other crappy Swedish tank? Like
Swedish Tracer player.
Oh, Sharp.
Sharp.
Oh, I was on a fucking team with you two.
Okay. And then the last one is one...
Is French, you said?
Yeah, French.
It's the forgotten French.
Is it like hip?
It's Poco. It's Poco.
It's fucking Poco.
Oh, of course.
He played OWCS when
played for
Ben
Peps, didn't he?
So he sneaked his way in.
Oh... Poco, every season of Overwatch League, every World Cup, every OWCS. Fuck. Yeah. Guy can't be stopped.
He can't stop.
He doesn't want to, but he can't stop competing.
Does he still stream, or is he just like low-key typed out?
No, he's a streamer.
I think he streams.
He's like the biggest French streamer. In Overwatch is probably the caveat to that. Yeah, maybe in Overwatch is definitely the caveat to that.
I just clicked his stream. He went live 50 seconds ago. Like, what are the chances?
I just listened to that.
They would summon him.
Yeah, manifested.
So feel free to leave in the comments who I've left out.
There's going to be like 20 people you've forgotten or something.
Will be someone. But I think doing my criteria, that's it. So I think X clearly won that quiz with like an outrageous dominant performance. I might do NA sometime, but I feel like it's way less because it's just only fucking Canadian and US players, right? It's a little bit less fun, but there we go.
That's just boring. We just don't like Americans on this podcast.
Yeah, fuck them.
We just oversimplify their Overwatch gameplay and claim that they're bad when they're not.
We're slowly transitioning away from the race war with Korea and really just opening it up to America now. Like, you see these guys play Overwatch? Pretty fucking shit, right? They're all like this.
We're fighting a war on two fronts now, you know? It's like we have a segment where we go after bloody Korean Uncoachable, and then we're like, hey, Capitology.
We went after Kasuris as well. We'll actually...
You name it.
I mean, even, you know...
With NA, did you see the list of co-streamers for like the Swiss stage and how like
they had like
3 times? Like, in League of Legends, something happens where when NA and EU LCS split off and become their own products, EU was just so much more fun, you know? Like, there was like the product was better, like the teams were interesting. NA just became this like place where it was shit League of Legends and it was fucking boring and the product was shit, you know? I feel like fucking the same thing is going to happen in Overwatch, you know? Like, NA, like none of these fucking people stream, they're all so fucking like boring. Like Capitology is the only one giving us anything. I feel like over time, like EU is just going to be so much more fun to watch than NA because fucking Americans, you know? I love how the thing with Americans is like I don't even have to fucking hide my racism for it, you know? Like, I love society because like if I said that about any other fucking country, I'm fucking gone. But I could just say fucking Americans, and it's just like everyone's like, yeah, fair enough, you know, that's just what it is. So I'm glad that I got my political racism out at the end here.
So we should move on to Client of the Week then. And where do we want to start? Because I feel like there's quite a few nominees this week. Does anyone want to jump in?
I want to give a special shout out to Spilo for pissing off my family and judging what is a fucking lovely room otherwise. And then getting ratioed by my mum. I feel like that's like a fucking, like, nobody, he's the only person in human history who my mum's ever ratioed. And he has like 10,000 times as many followers. So shout out to my mum.
He was also forced to backtrack massively as well. Like when he was sort of called out on it, he then immediately went into like apology mode and defensive mode
this
of like.
Actually, this is like the
classic Spilo, dude.
Like cycle, isn't it?
He tries to fling a little bit of shit. There's a bit of pushback. And he can't stand on it, you know. He has to immediately wind it back, like trying to help find OGE a job just for that fucking useless bum to post LFT again a couple of weeks later with the words "Last Dance" in it. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro! Like, you're not Michael Jordan. Like,
yeah, actually, it's the cycle of Spilo. Push the boundary a little bit, regret it, back to safe mode. So I also feel like when Spilo was doing it, I think actually secretly Spilo wants Client of the Week. Like, I actually think that he's going for it, you know? Like, I can see in his tweet that it was like in the back of his mind. So maybe we're giving him what he wants. Anyone else?
I want to nominate big podcast, big fan of a podcast, Zoe. For one, doing a fucking typical establishment bullshit in terms of trying to steal the quiz from us. She held a quiz for Danny when he came on. Danny, as in analyst Danny of Toronto, because Danny had to step in and play. So then she does a quiz, and the question was, like, I forget the exact wording, but it was basically who was the first player to play all 3 roles after roll lock in a match, right? And I think Danny said, I think it's Mirror, right? Mirror was the first player to do it. And so he says, no, it was Custer. And the reason she said it was Custer, and that might surprise you, right? Do you remember Custer playing all 3 roles in a match?
No.
Because it didn't happen. She did her research through ChatGPT, which gave her the wrong fucking answer of what is... I mean, it's like a reasonable question, right? It's like a nice like bit of trivia, right? Like it was a long time in Overwatch League before someone did this after roll lock, blah, blah, blah. But also, Custer was on the desk. Surely you double check with Custer before you would do this, rather than just trust the AI. So not only does she try and steal the concept of a quiz and insert it into the broadcast, she just fucks it up as well. Just fucks it up and tries to outsource poor hardworking Chrissy. Chris made a list of all those players earlier. Probably missed loads of people.
Yeah.
But he's a hardworking man, working his 9 to 5, finding that list of players, and so he's trying to give his job away to fucking AI.
Answer me this to get political again. Why is it when AI takes graphic designers' jobs, there's this like fucking insane outrage, but when AI tries to take the quiz master's job, but that's okay? Explain that.
Oh, banger. Absolute banger. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I can't help but feel that this is like just all pure like false indignation, you know? Just on the basis of the fact that like our quiz was always fucking wrong. Her quiz was actually so in the spirit of Uncoachable by being complete wank, you know? Like, if anything, I think that she just optimized the process.
No,
like, we shouldn't be outraged.
To get the quiz wrong, Max. You don't understand. It's a long process to do a shit.
And it takes a graphic designer hours to draw something. But at the end of the day, 90% of the people don't know the fucking difference until they zoom in and realize that there's a cock in the background for no reason, you know? So, like... So honestly, honest graphic designers and honest quiz masters, you know, they're both going the way of the dodo. And just because Zoe is able to read the writing on the wall,
unlike Kalios,
and now our next quiz is just going to be absolute rubbish. You know?
GPT for it. I might give it a go.
It's so bad.
Actually,
you ask GPT about this stuff.
Insane quiz idea.
Okay, wonderful.
It's going to be something like you don't have to guess the correct answer. You have to guess what ChatGPT thinks is the answer.
Next week's quiz is so fucking good. Make sure you tune in for it.
I'm not even going to be here next week. Like it's going to be a delayed release or something.
No, we do tomorrow.
Fuck.
Tomorrow. Jeez, just really front-loading content.
What was the other one? Danny sent me this one. Which was did you see the Reddit thread about Toronto Defiant, accusing Toronto Defiant of breaking a rule by off-rolling and not not
They're trying their hardest.
Not trying their hardest.
That guy's such a fucking client, dude. Like,
well, because I presume this was bait, right? I thought it had to be bait.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the
but
thing.
Then, because he posts, because there's another one where he replies to it, I think, and sort of doubles down on it. I can't. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it's the downvoted one. Sorry, but having fun isn't an excuse to violate the rules. Just as teams in Europe were denied their player imports, shot at EXO for no reason, the rules must be enforced with equal precision in this case.
Oh, I don't know. If it's not bait, then for sure this is like an incredible client of the week nomination. But I feel like this is just bait, you know? You know, sometimes when you see stuff and it's like, it can't be real, you know? Like, it just can't be.
And I think that's what it comes down to, right?
You're massively underrating the client factor of someone that sits on Reddit literally all day posting about Compo W. I'm going to be honest. Like, think about what you know about the average Reddit commenter, and then think about like the frequency that this guy is commenting on threads, and tell me that this guy isn't capable of having some of the most artificial intelligence level comments.
This guy thinks Cuz to play DPS in Overwatch League.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I mean, if it is real, it's definitely up there, I think, because it's just utter nonsense.
Yeah, good for a laugh too, you know? Like, the rules should be upheld.
Also, if you win, can you really be accused of not... Does it matter how hard you did or didn't try if you just win? You tried hard enough to win, which is the...
I think they should get DQ'd for not trying.
Yeah, same here.
I was thinking when I watched Timeless stand on point, I thought this is against the spirit of the rule.
Apparently Blind Freddy can look at that and tell, you know, like, oh, what are they doing? Like, it's just nonsense.
That would be the next step up from the aid clip. We have a guy VOD reviewing who's legally blind, and he just comes to the exact same conclusion.
What are they doing?
And then...
Do the Blizzard stuff too?
I was going to say,
anyone get to the bottom of this shit?
Well, it's conspiracy theory. It just can't be real. It's too nonsensical.
Because, yeah, Derpy came into my chat and sort of like linked it. And when he was saying, it says I just use the F and SH words. And I kind of just presumed he was full of bullshit, right? Like he was just like, oh yeah, sure you only use those words. But in reality, you're just trying to get out of the ban, right? Because obviously the reason Derpy's case has come up is because he was on one of the OWCS teams. I think Citrus Nation, right? But he wasn't allowed to compete because his account was banned. So because you're not allowed to play in the live game, you're not allowed to compete in the thing. But then the Blizzard customer support account just seems to double down that, fucking shit are banned words, and if you are reported enough for them and there's enough iterations of you using it, you will just be banned and the ban will be upheld.
I don't know. I think this is like a marketing scam. Like this goes like so viral that like this is like part of Blizzard's plan, you know? Because I can't believe it's been days now where this shit is being like on the official Blizzard account and no one from Blizzard has said, yo, take this down. Like, this is
they deleted one post, right? I've got the deleted post here. They deleted this one where they said, like, then report them, Joy, when Joy was complaining about what about people spamming slurs or death threats or anything like that worse? Why are these people not punished? And the CS account was like, well, just report them then, Joy.
I mean, people definitely are also getting, if you're slurring and death threats, I'm fairly sure you're getting banned. Like, this is like a fucking insane, like, this tweet's from Joy. I mean, Joy's actually a fucking client. Because it's not like that, like, Blizzard is like banning people who say fuck and just letting death threats go by. Like, there's no way that the system is designed that way. I don't know, like, is this actually happening? Like, are Blizzard actually banning people for fuck? Like, is it not possible that his account got banned for something else?
It's possible. But the problem is you always see a load of people in the comments and replies who are like, yeah, this totally happened to me. And I'm like, how many of these people have just dropped like 15 N-words, been banned, and then gone, yeah, this has happened. This guy's just like me. Unreasonable. Like, how many of these tag-on things are actually...
I saw Dello tweeted the other day the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that like the majority of people who get chat banned, you know, it's like it's always the same fucking people. It's like it takes a certain type of person to get chat banned in a video game. That's all I'll say. You know what I mean? And maybe the fact that someone like Derpy, who I think is like rather uncontroversial, just like really not the slur spamming moron type. I think the fact that he's getting banned for it and then they're kind of like standing on business on the public Twitter account being like, yeah, you said the SH word. Like maybe that is an indication of some sort of like insane policy shift internally, you know, or like one person just going completely rogue. But you know, historically speaking, I would say that like literally anytime someone complains about getting a chat ban and then you look at their chat log, it's like, oh, this person is just a client that has no self-awareness of the fact that you probably shouldn't tell people in online video games to kill themselves, you know? It's like when you load into the game and you tick the big checkbox that says you're not going to say those particular words. It's a really good meme for this. You tick the checkbox that says you're not going to say those particular words. And then you get banned. And it's just a chat log of you saying those exact words over and over and over again. And it's like, yeah, not everyone is allotted a Delor moment per year in game. You know what I mean? Like that's just not going to happen anymore. So I don't know. It's always the same people that get chat banned.
One thing I did see from Yiska, who might be attempting to get to the bottom of it, says he quote tweets Jez Corden, who talks about multiple sources telling him that Microsoft are laying off internal customer support teams and are looking to outsource for companies abroad, which might mean some kind of cost-saving method. They outsource loads of these things. And one way to simplify the number of requests and the number of things you have to deal with is just to make everything like super black and white and just said, nope, said it, just gone. Don't worry about it. Don't even have to put it to a human customer support agent. Can just have the AI do it.
I think it's really sad, to be honest, because like Blizzard really is one of those game companies that has had like the most unbelievable fall from grace of all time. You know, like I remember when I was younger, like I had some dealings with like the Blizzard customer support for like World of Warcraft related stuff, and it was like actually really cool. Like the level of like assistance that you would get through just like an online support ticket, you know, like you'd be able to talk to a game master or whatever, and they'd help you out with like all sorts of stuff. You know, it's like someone's full-time job is actually to like be incredibly like personable and helpful to like for you in the context of the video game, you know. And now we skip forward like 5, maybe a few more years, you know, like the time is kind of flying by. We skip forward like almost a decade now, and it's like we can have a robot do this, or we can outsource it to India, you know? It's like those are our two options right now. Like we can have someone that just says there's a hard policy that if you swear, you're fucked forever, or we can just let the AI do it for us. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty doomed at this point, because Blizzard used to be so fucking good, man. Like this actually used to be like one of the real premier companies where like everything they did was so awesome. Like it was so cool. And now it's just
capitalism for you. It always ends like this.
Well, it also says like a load of community managers for various games are also due to lose their jobs as well. Again, presumably not to be replaced by anyone, but just to be, this job isn't needed anymore type thing.
I think we give it to... Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. I think we should give it to Zoe because she like in the interview, she said, oh, it's a very digestible 4-hour podcast, which means she didn't watch it, you know. So I think this time we'll get her to watch it because people will tell her that she won it, you know. I think that's the way to get Zoe into Uncoachable.
Going after one viewer at a time.
Also, as we've been reporting, I've just seen in a Discord somewhere, apparently it's leaked through German sources, apparently like German distributors. I'm seeing it from Yiska's Discord. The prize pool for the World Cup is out if you want to look at it.
Oh, wow.
Have you got the link?
Oh, wow.
An image of sorts?
This will be the first you're hearing of this, right?
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Dickhead.
I hope some of my predictions turn out to be accurate. I'd like to direct you to Honor of Kings on the right side here. Overwatch 1 million. Honor of Kings 3 million. So big up. So
are you saying
like
we should now?
Saying, all podcast long, I'm a huge Honor of Kings head. Like genuinely, one of my favorite Chinese mobile gaming titles. Like I'm crazy about Honor of Kings. Oh God.
To be fair, this supposedly, no one knows if this is right or not. This is just what I'm seeing in a Discord somewhere, but maybe it looks accurate to me.
What's Free Fire?
Don't know, but $1 million if you get good at it in time.
You've got a month.
What are the qualifying dollars for
So the qualifying dollars is like the FACEIT League. This is where it is. So like
they're funding that.
Yeah, I don't know where the 250K is, to be fair. Where's that?
Yeah, that's tucked away somewhere. Nobody seems to be getting a slice
the
of that.
150k is the FACEIT league across all the regions. They said that, but where's the 250k? Unless it's OWCS, they include that number in just to make it
that they're not funding.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, but maybe they just want to make these numbers as big as possible. But yeah, if this is accurate, which I mean, this looks like a real graphic to me, so I'm going to choose to believe it.
If I saw something printed into an infographic, I trust it immediately, to be honest. I saw something about like comparing life expectancy and literacy rates between Cuba and the US yesterday, and I just immediately took it at face value. You know, like Cuba is a significantly better country than the United States in every way.
Cheers to that. Fuck Americans. We can say that on this podcast.
Yeah. For the clarity of the viewers, I don't believe that in any capacity. I would rather be dead. But, you know.
Great, now we're fucking starting beef with Cuba.
Oh, what did Cuba do to you? You call them all dumb?
I'm not calling them dumb.
I'm sorry, all our Cuban listeners. You're fucking intelligent. I don't know why Max is talking like this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we're on Uncoachable, is this episode 20? If we're on 20. Episode 20 and we have a single communist viewer at this point, I will shit in my hands and clap, you know? Like, there's just no way.
Shout out to all the communists in chat.
All right.
Good we have to... So, yeah. Client, locking Zoe in.
Yeah, there has to be.
And then we're going to transition to become a Honor of Kings podcast for next episode. I think we're all agreed with that.
Yeah, look, I'll do anything. I'm not gay, but for $3 million, like Honor of Kings all the way, bro.
Honor of Kings all the way, as they say.
I'll honor it anyway.
Oh. And then I actually need your help for the Rank for Guest segment because I super didn't. Oh, wait, no, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's okay. Never mind. I'm good. I was worried the website wasn't up to date, but I think we're okay.
How long did we go today? Is this 3.5 hours?
3.5 hours.
God, our podcast is so long, dude. Like, we have to cut this shit out.
When we were wrapping through the topics, I thought, oh, we're actually going to get like a 2 to 3 hour one. We're going to get a nice one. Here we are, 4.
It's just ranting, just a yapping.
Wait, was Zoe right? Fuck. No, it can't be that.
If we don't speed it up, guests are never going to come back. Because I actually feel like when I think about it, Masaa has actually really not enjoyed the 4 hours that we've took out of his day today to just
No, actually, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to like help make food, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, my scrim started in like 40 minutes. I guess I won't be doing shit today. All because of you.
Yeah. I just wonder how many people make it this deep. You know, like, can we get some, like, I think we did this on Jaws' thing. Can we get some alien emojis in the chat if you're still listening?
Okay, here's what I used to do in London. So when I would make the videos for like the players,
give them a code word
to prove that they watched this far into the video, they had to type in their Discord channel Ben Toast 17. Okay, so if you are got to this point in the episode, don't say anything, but in the comment section write Ben Toast 17, and we'll know that you're a true Uncoachable viewer.
And don't tell anyone else to do it either.
Can we get a Ben Toast on broadcast real quick?
Yeah, have you got? Oh my god!
Yeah,
how can I get this on broadcast? Fuck.
Open the image.
Okay, there we go.
Rubbish. Absolute rubbish podcast this is.
And this is why it's worth staying for all 4 hours. The best stuff happens in the last 10 minutes.
Rank the guest, release me.
All right. Yeah,
wait, where was Avril? Because it didn't auto-save last time. So was Avril...
Is Avril like 5th? No?
Was that like there? Okay.
Was Jake 11th? Fucking hell. I must have enjoyed
was he above?
Jake.
We put him right in the middle at the time out of sitting on the fenceness.
I don't know. What do you guys think? I always go first. I always feel bad now after I got shouted out last time.
I think we're somewhere...
You're going first.
I think we're somewhere above... Probably like above Hydron.
Yeah, I was thinking the 9k Hydron ballpark.
We take those.
Yeah, that seems reasonable, but
could be worse.
I don't want him below McGravy.
Ooh. All right.
Do you want him...
Like, McGravy kind of like snuck in there. Like, he has quite a high ranking, don't you think?
Oh god, what's happening? It's breaking.
Oh god, we've doubled.
Taking over.
Cut that. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
All right.
Okay, there's actually one new section we have to do as well.
Oh god.
Oh no. I know what it is.
Huh?
So what? For those who don't know, obviously go support us on Patreon if you don't already. But if you support us enough on Patreon, you give us enough money, you get a little scrolling text to say thank you at the end. And we have a few people who very graciously do that. But if you support the tier above that per month, we said we would verbally thank you at the end of the episode. So at this point, we're contractually obliged by the letter of the law to verbally thank Johnny Reinforce for his contribution to the Uncoachable Patreon. So
yeah, thanks for the money, Johnny. Appreciate that.
This is just an attempt of establishment lobbying, you know?
Yeah, no, we're not going to take the bait, dude. Sorry, still one client of the week.
We're taking the money and we're going to redistribute it by pumping it back into the podcast. We're Robin Hooding this money away from the establishment and giving it back to the common man.
We're donating it to Exo's charities. We're not. We're not.
Thank you for clarifying twice.
Cheers to that.
All right. Cheers.